Okay, I'd like to call the February meeting of the Oklahoma City Historic Preservation Commission to order. Paula, would you call the roll?
Alan Brown.
Present.
Neela Crank-Clements. Suzanne Broadbent.
Present.
Heather Clemmer.
Present.
Greg Eddington.
Present.
George Massey.
Present.
Mary Jo Meacham.
Present.
And Ann Zacharitz.
Present.
You have a quorum.
Thank you. I'd like to go over the meeting process, which is on the back of the front page of the agenda. The chairman will announce each case and ask interested parties to indicate their presence by raising their hand. Commissioners will discuss details of the case, calling on staff for additional details. Following this discussion, commissioners may choose to ask questions of parties present. Interested persons may speak to support or protest the application. The applicant will be entitled to one brief rebuttal. Interaction between applicant and protestants on the floor is not permitted. Persons speaking are asked to approach the center podium one at a time to introduce themselves by name and address, and if you would sign in, please, and to present their position as succinctly as possible. The Commission asks each speaker to limit his or her remarks to no more than 5 minutes. Following the public meeting on an application, the Commission will take one of the following actions. 1, approve the certificate of appropriateness. 2, continue the proposal. Or 3, deny the proposal with prejudice, which means, deny the proposal with prejudice, which means the application may not be resubmitted for at least 1 year unless the Commission determines the circumstances have changed. Or 4, deny the proposal with prejudice, without prejudice, confused today, which means the applicant may reapply at any time. When an application has been approved and after a 10-day protest period has expired, the Historic Preservation Officer will mail the CA to the applicant. City construction permits cannot be issued until the CA has been issued. And then contact HP staff for final design review inspection or to withdraw items that will not be completed. Finally, any person aggrieved by any decision granting or denying a CA may appeal to the Oklahoma City Board of Adjustment. All appeals shall be made within 10 days of the Commission decision by filing a written notice of appeal with the clerk of the Board of Adjustment. Okay, with that, let's get started. 2 from the Office of the Historic Preservation Officer. Katie?
The only items we have are that the statewide Historic Preservation Conference is coming up. It is June 6th through 8th in Tulsa this year. We'll be contacting the Commission about attending the conference if you're interested. Because of that conference, and then also because of 4th of July, our May and June, or our June and July meetings are scheduled on dates that are not our typical schedule. Therefore, the application deadlines are also not on the typical schedule. Those are listed in the application, and they're also available on our website, just so that applicants are aware the timing will be different for those 2 months. That's all.
Okay. 3, acceptance of minutes of previous meeting from January 3rd. Anybody have some comments on those or motion?
I move acceptance of the January 3rd, 2019 minutes.
Okay. Moved by Ann Zacharitz and seconded by Suzanne Broadbent. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, the minutes are approved. Okay, on to 4, the code enforcement report. Anybody from the city here? No? Any comments? Go ahead.
I was just going to say our inspector is not here today. If you all have questions about anything, please just contact staff and we can follow up on those. On ones where you see a number listed after the citation, that means that it's proceeded from a notice of violation to an actual citation, and you can find more information on that with the city's Action Center.
Okay. Any comments or questions for Katie on that? Okay. On to continuance, announcements, and requests. I understand you have 2, Katie, is that right?
Yes, we have, I believe, 2 new requests for continuance. 17-00215 would like to be continued to April 4th, and that is 17-215. Let me see the number on the number 7 on the agenda, and then number 10 on the agenda to be continued to March 7th.
Okay. Any commissioner want to comment or add?
And we'll need a motion for each of those.
Separately? Okay. All right. So you announce the first one, or?
A motion to continue?
Yeah.
Yep.
Make a motion to continue HPCA 17-00215 to the April 4th meeting.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Joe Meacham, seconded by Heather Clemmer. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that case is continued. Next one.
I make a motion to continue HPCA 18-00003 to the April 4th meeting? March 7th. March 7th.
Second. All right. It's been moved by Joe Meacham, seconded by George Massey. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, that one's continued. All right, now on to public hearings. None. And then if I can turn the page, on to National Register nominations.
NRHP-18-00001 at 1 through 13 Northeast 6th Street, DBD Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of 6th Street OKC LLC by Linda Ozan of State Historic Preservation Office to consider a resolution regarding a proposed National Register nomination for the Pioneer Telephone Company warehouse and garage. Because we are a certified local government, the HP Commission gets to review and comment upon National Register nominations for properties throughout Oklahoma City. This nomination is for the warehouse and garage associated with the Pioneer Telephone Company. You've got a nomination before you that lays out their history, but it's one of the earliest developers of telephone operation in the state, even pre-statehood. And the Pioneer Telephone Company kind of office building is just down the street at Broadway, is already listed on the National Register. This is where they stored materials and supplies and vehicles related to the actual installation of telephones all over the state of Oklahoma. One thing I found really fascinating in this was that we calculated up, it was over 100 miles of telephone wire per phone back at the time of statehood. That's a lot of telephone wire. But the nomination talks about how the telephone really was instrumental in the development of the state at that time. So anyway, Linda Ozan's here to answer any other questions.
Okay.
Linda
Would you like to add
Ozan,
anything?
Deputy State Historic Preservation Officer, 800 Mazuzudi Drive. Any questions? I guess the other thing I should add to you is that, yes, this is a tax credit project, and the Part 1 has already been approved, which essentially means it's formality for you because the Park Service has already determined that it's eligible. So that makes your decision easy.
So we better do our job. Okay. Any comments or questions or motions? Good pictures.
I make a motion to recommend the nomination of the Pioneer Telephone Company Warehouse and Garage to the Mayor and City Council, the Oklahoma Historic Preservation Review Committee, the State Historic Preservation Officer, and the Keeper of the National Register, and adopt the resolution provided as part of the staff report. Second.
Was that Ann? Okay, moved by Heather Clemmer and second by Ann Zakritz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, it's recommended. Thank you. Good job. On to consent docket.
We have one item on the consent docket. I did note in preparing for the meeting today that we actually had recommended approval of this with several conditions, which we typically don't put those on the consent docket without giving the applicant the opportunity to agree to the conditions. So this is probably one that ought to be pulled for further discussion.
Do you have to move to pull it? Make a motion?
No, we just pull it and then
Just pull
we'll
it.
discuss it.
Okay.
I agree.
All right. So it goes in first on D. Is that correct? Yes. Okay. Items for individual consideration.
So HPCA 18-00001 at 2312 Northwest 27th Street, Shepherd, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of police pre-wall for certificate of appropriateness to 1, demolish garage elective, 2, construct garage elective, 3, construct retaining wall elective, and 4, install fence and gate elective.
Is the applicant present? Good. I was wondering if she was notified.
Sorry, I got confused.
Are you Khalees?
Yes.
Okay. I can't hear very well. Can you guys hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry, yes.
There you go, okay. I thought maybe the microphone wasn't on, or maybe it was my ears or something. Okay. Do you have any comments on this? What were the two items that,
There were several conditions related to the location of the garage and the retaining wall, and the location of the fence in relation to the garage and the retaining wall, and the, various details of the garage, et cetera. Nothing terribly significant. We just don't usually put things on the consent docket and approve them that way when there are conditions attached. We want the
Conditions.
applicant to be able to speak to those and acknowledge that they'd agreed to the conditions and that sort of thing.
Have you read the conditions?
Yes,
Are you in agreement?
yes.
Well, I need a little clarification. The garage that's there, the historic garage, is hip roof, pretty modest. The new garage is nice and stylized and nicely designed, but it's my understanding that if we know what the original garage looked like, and it was a modest garage, the guidelines kind of require a garage that follows
I had
that.
originally, sent in some like high-style designs and then revised to a simple gable design. It is different than the original hip, but I'm just looking for additional like attic storage space that I'm unable to get in my primary structure due to just structural issues in the ceiling.
Well, and I certainly can sympathize with what you're trying to do, and it may be that the commission is fine with it, but I do feel like we need a little clarification about what we're approving, if we do, and why. Guideline 4.4.5 says construction of a replacement garage shall approximate the original in configuration, form, massing, style, placement, and detail. And then 4.4.10 says often a new garage should be modest with simple rectangular plan and form, low-pitched, gabled, or hipped roof. And my understanding has been if the original garage was a modest hip roof, that's what we were going to require people. I mean, that's what the guidelines meant, but I'd like the discussion so we can be consistent. I don't know how we're interpreting that. I do know that we told a Putnam Heights resident a month or two ago, or rather suggested that since he had a hip roof on the garage that he was approved to tear down, that his application needed to follow with a hip roof design for that. And he wanted a gable too, a gable style. So
you want gable for more attic storage, basically?
Correct.
Is it going to be opens, or just,
Yeah, I mean, I was planning to, at some point, possibly, keep it open originally and then deck in
Put a deck
a
up
small
there?
portion as needed in the future.
there's a bunch of gable garages, looks like, adjacent?
I think, to just speak to Suzanne's question, I think we typically have, when we know what the historic garage looks like, we have asked that the replacement garage closely match the historic garage, including the roof form, regardless of the design of roofs of surrounding neighboring garages. That the historic garage is what kind of sets the first priority for the design. And I just will say that staff's recommendation is only a recommendation. So.
I too prefer the hip. I like that. I think it would be good to go back to stay with that. You wouldn't have a lot of storage in a hip roof. The other thing is the setback. Your new plan shows it right on the property line. I guess it says that the proposed garage, one condition is not closer to the east property line than the current garage? Okay.
Yes,
And-
I'm sorry, yes?
What's that?
Oh, I was just going to say, yes, the current garage is like 1 foot east of the
And
property.
the new one, you're right on that property line.
I'm sorry, what?
The new garage shows it right
Yeah,
on.
that's what I was proposing, and that was one of the conditions Angela had spoken with me about, is that it needs to, that permitting may require it to stay on the existing.
City required it to be 5 feet from the property line. You can do it less. You would have to fire rate the wall that abuts the property line. So you have to talk to the city. Go ahead.
May I? I'm John Reinke. I've been here for you guys several times.
Yeah, but
And
recognize.
actually, that's why I came up, because I believe the garage that you mentioned, where I was required to go back to HIP, was my garage, because I wanted a gable for the storage and all that stuff. And it's probably relevant to consider at this point that one of the big reasons that I really needed to stick with the HIP was because mine's highly visible, and from both Young's and 26th. And Khalees's is obviously set in the back of the property, towards the, so that's something that's been pretty particular.
Yeah.
And so as you guys consider this, if you were to allow the gable, it will be minimally visible from the street, which is part of the considerations as I understand them. And then on the setback, anything under 5 feet has to have that 1 hour rating that you mentioned. So whether she's at 1 foot or 5 feet or 3 feet, or like right on it, she has to have that. Which we
They
will.
allow you to build right on the property line?
Actually,
I've never tried to do that.
yeah. If there's interestingly, I've done 3 now in Shepherd that we've built them directly on the property line. As a matter of fact, it's pretty common in this neighborhood for the original structures to actually be a part of the definitive line of the fence. And that's actually the condition of my backyard. My neighbor's garage is within 6 inches of my property line. And you guys are probably very familiar with the house at 27th and Young's, the French modern style with the castle and the wrought iron fence and everything. Their back fence, up until about 2 weeks ago when the gentleman who just left, Jeff, when Jeff and his partner sold their house, they actually moved their fence over and then bypassed the garage. But up until that point, the garage of that French modern house was part of the fence line for Jeff's house. So, as a matter of fact, I think when I mentioned that particular thing when I was trying to get my hip roof, and I mentioned that being a high-style garage and everything, and he's like, oh yeah, that garage is my fence. So, anyway, that's just a couple of things that are relevant in this particular neighborhood that might be worth considering as you guys are debating on this.
So that's one of the conditions staff had, would not be located closer to the east property line. So I think that was more maybe for code requirement. I don't know.
That's what Angela had discussed with me, is that it was something that we were going to have to work through with city permitting, that because it wasn't a historic district and
But
sometimes.
not necessarily a historic preservation concern.
Right. I think the concern is that when
Yep.
they go to pull a building permit, they might have issues with the location of it. But we pretty frequently come up against that with new construction of garages, that we might have to do an administrative amendment of the CA because they have to move it a foot or two one way or the other. So
Sounds like they'll allow them to put it right on the property line. Okay. What about the roof issue? Anybody else? No more comments? Or opinions?
I share the concerns and agree with the comments of Commissioner Broadbent.
Okay. Would you consider a hip roof?
Yeah, if that's what will be approved, that's fine. It's just preferred for functional use.
We could try and see. I don't know. It's hard to tell how the vote would turn out. Sounds like there's some commissioners not.
The minimally visible part helps me in not agreeing with that, but I think when it's by two streets, that's a whole different thing than this one would be, but I understand the thoughts on the adherence to the guidelines.
Yeah. No? What do you think?
I mean, either way.
Huh?
Either way.
Either way, you're...
I mean, I see it, but I'm okay with that. I understand we have asked people to do that, so.
Okay.
That's fine. I can go with the hip.
Okay. Does somebody want to make a motion then? She's agreeable, and so...
And, Katie, would we need a new set of drawings?
Yes, we'd need new drawings to show the hip roof. I think that's simple enough, if the commission is comfortable with it, that could just be submitted to staff since it's replicating the historic condition.
Well,
The condition about the garage door having a simulated center post, could you explain that again? I think we've done this before. How would that work? There's nothing in here to show that.
Yeah, and I think actually sometimes in the past we have moved away from that and felt like it was not a very effective method
I don't
of
like
simulating the look of two doors. Yeah.
How wide is it? Garage is pretty wide, so you could accommodate two single doors. The 22 feet wide.
My only thing with the two doors is I have a large wood deck, so I have very little maneuvering space.
Ah, okay. Is there a
So-
site plan in here?
I believe so, towards the back.
Yeah, there it is. Yep. Any comments on that one?
so do we have a door on here that's picked out?
Yes. There is a door in the selections area, and I had, let's see, I thought it was at the very front.
Yep, it's on page...
Oh, it's right by the fence.
Page 27.
And this was another one that was under conditions, because I had selected a wood grain finish with the obscured glass, and we elected for the smooth painted finish with clear glass.
With clear glass.
Correct.
So would that make condition, are you saying that,
I believe that was one of the conditions that Angela had spoke with me about
Okay.
regarding some of the just changes to fall into conformity.
so Katie, would that be most appropriate, but leave out the simulated center post?
Yes, I think so, based on what we've approved recently.
Without the simulated center post, but smooth painted finish and clear glass.
And the unique...
But we'd also have to put, let's see, it's not, with the condition that okay, so there's actually two roofs. It would be the condition, the roof of the garage would be hipped, but the little storage area is gabled. And, is that correct?
No, I mean, I had them originally both gabled, but I would just change that in.
Well, I don't, would that be hip too?
It would probably have to be hip because of the way the roof design is
Okay.
higher than the eaves, so it would all have to be hip, I would think. Wouldn't have to, but it'd probably look better.
Okay. So, Katie, can this all be done in one, or do we need to do individual?
I think we can do it all in
Okay.
one and just add the revisions to the conditions.
Okay. I make a motion to approve HPCA 18001, item 3, with the specific findings as noted by staff in the staff report, and the condition that the proposed garage be located further west than proposed. The proposed retaining wall may continue at the proposed location to maintain the slope of the yard east of the garage.
What?
Okay. Item 4, to approve with the specific findings as noted by the staff and the staff report, and the conditions that the garage location, the location not be approved as proposed, or be approved as proposed if
Subject to the building code.
building code. If there's a change, you would need to bring that back to file that with the staff. The fence location can be addressed by the staff, and that should the retaining wall fail to be approved. Okay, so it was approved. Item 2, construct the garage with the following conditions with the specific findings as noted by the staff, with the exception of number 6, which we would delete from the garage door description with simulated center post. And the conditions that the proposed garage not be located closer to the east property line, and a site plan indicating the distance from property line be submitted to staff, that the overhead garage door eliminate. The garage door be a smooth painted finish, clear glass, and design details of such be submitted to staff prior to release of the certificate, that the documentation of the gutter and downspout design be submitted before the certificate is released, and that the final one, that the design of the roof, which is now a gable, be changed to a hip.
Get all that?
Second.
Okay, it's moved by Joe Meacham and seconded by Suzanne Broadbent. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
When do those drawings need to be submitted by?
It's, the CA will go out when we
Okay.
have your drawings, so
Okay.
it's just up to you.
Okay,
Yeah.
thank you.
Okay. Next,
Number 1, HPCA 17-00042 at 827 Northwest 17th Street, Mesta Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Ginger Casper by Mark Maxted of Mark Maxted for certificate of appropriateness to 12 replace front balcony railing required. And the commission heard this application previously and continued it. We have received no additional information from the applicant at this time. I believe they have one continuance remaining.
okay, is the applicant present? Nope.
I thought this was the last, no? I thought last time we said no, but there's one more continuance?
I think so.
Okay.
Okay. I wasn't here for this one, so
I thought this was the third time, but,
This is-
okay.
third time?
I thought it was, but,
I thought it was too.
Oh,
yeah. Because last time we kind of debated about what we were going to do because
Yeah.
the applicant wasn't here, I thought.
Paula, are you able to look that up? Perhaps since the applicant's, did you say yes? You.
is Paul looking it up?
Yes.
Okay.
Sorry.
Trying to find out how many continuances?
Yes, I don't want to
Yeah.
deny them before it's due, but I don't want to give them more time if they are out of time. Okay, so they do have a continuance.
Okay. I make a motion to continue HPCA 17-00042 to the
We can just do the March meeting, March 7th.
March 7th.
Just 1 month?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think there's anything else for them to submit at this
Okay.
time.
All right.
Second.
Who was that?
Second.
Moved by Joe Meacham, seconded by Ann Zakowitz. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, continued. Next.
17-00043 at 3817 North McKinley Avenue, Putnam Heights, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Mark Nunn and Gloria Vera for certificate of appropriateness to 3, replace front porch elective, 4, replace front steps elective, and 5, replace front porch sidewalks elective.
Okay,
Mark Nunn, 3817 North McKinley.
I remember this one.
Yeah.
The commission heard this previously and had continued it, and the applicant has not really submitted any revisions, but I think just wanted to discuss the initial proposal again.
Correct. So, yeah, that was when I had to go to South America, and then I came back. I thought I had some time to maybe go take photographs around the neighborhood, but I got sick. Apparently there's a bug going around. But so I think really what the holdup is getting a pattern into the concrete. Last time I talked to you guys, y'all guys said that, yeah, everything really would just go through if it was just straight concrete. So I wouldn't have to go through the board, but I think we're really wanting to match the design and the style of what is there currently to what we put back in, but still keeping it straight concrete. And you know, when I researched around the neighborhood, I did find some interesting things. Looking at some of these historical houses, you know, my neighbor, well, her porch is basically all terracotta tile, or resembles terracotta tile. It's like a tile on top. My neighbor to the north, the old governor's house, well, they got brick with stamped concrete. I know Suzanne has some stamped concrete as well. It's a neighborhood that has pattern to their porches. You know, it gives the house some personality. And I think going with just a straight concrete porch, given the size of the porch, it would take a lot of the personality away from the house. And I'm trying to kind of say, hey, this is how a porch was historically, but I don't want to rob the house of its personality.
I had a question. Do you have
Could I
a
interject real
date?
quick?
I'm sorry, I
Paula,
should
could you
have
switch to the slides on this? Oh, you're trying to find it. You're trying to find it? Oh, okay. I just, it's good for everybody to see what.
Next one, go to 43.
All right. Thank you. Sorry to. Go ahead.
I just wondered if you knew the date of the existing porch.
Of that porch, I don't know the date. My belief is that's not even existing. Like,
That what?
I believe that porch was not original to the house. That's what I believe. That's an assumption. I have no photographs of what actually was there. The part that's driving that belief is, I don't know if you guys have the picture of the band on the front. So it has a brick band on the front of the porch. That brick is original to the house. The part that I just keep thinking about is that band is not a band you would typically see where it's like a brick turned on its side and it continues. It's staggered. It's like they cut the band in half like they would like they're laying brick, and like I don't think they're lazy to put the other half of the brick there. I just don't think, because for a contractor to pour concrete in a band that looks like a zipper, it's more work.
Where's the band you're talking about?
Can you flip through the pictures? Keep going. You can see right. So you can see that brick band right there. Not that one. The one on the sides.
On this.
Go over to the left.
To the left of the pillar.
Yeah.
Down.
Right
Yeah,
there.
right.
Okay.
That?
Yes. So the tops of those, it's a full brick and then it's a half brick. It's a full brick and then it's a half brick. It's a full brick and a half brick. That's kind of a feature that you would, if you're putting a band in, you would put a full brick in continuously.
Okay. Do you think that brick matches the house, the brick on the house?
That brick does match the house. The brick, the really extreme red, does not match the house, which is the band in the middle.
Which is the band in the
Yeah,
middle.
between the porch and, yes.
Oh, right there, right.
Correct. That absolutely does not.
But you think that the half and whole matches the column right there?
That brick does match the house, yes.
So we just have to assume those are original.
Correct.
I mean, I would be reluctant to have you demolish the porch without knowing the age, the date of the porch, because you just told us that it could be original.
No, I said I believe it's not original.
Right, but, so the other could be true. You believe it not to be, but it could, because we don't have proof that it is.
Right, so it's kind of, we don't have proof that it is. It may not. The other thing that pushes that belief is in the basement, in my basement wall, there are two big old holes, big old square holes that are infilled. When I was growing up in my mom's 1910 Sears Roebuck house, same situation. We went into the basement, there's holes there to access beneath a porch, And part of me believes that at one point maybe it was a wood porch. I've seen some of that in the neighborhood as well. And, having that crawl space underneath there, that kind of makes sense. However, no photographs, no documentation of that is available. I've looked and no one ever took pictures of the front of the house is what I find. So that's kind of what pushes that. Why would you put a zipper band in there when you're pouring a concrete in there?
Without proof that this is, maybe less than 50 years old or something, to me it seems like this part, that part, the front step thing,
Yeah.
I don't know what that is, and I don't think that's part of whatever this was.
The slab?
The slab.
Yeah, I agree with
I
that.
don't think that is part of it, but this, I don't think without proof, it would be hard, it would be hard for me to, so what is your reason for actually taking that part of the porch off?
So the back part has been sinking. It's sunk around 2.5 to 3 inches. So when it rains,
I see.
When it rains, water comes to the back part of the house and then it goes down. And I have a finished basement, and that water comes into that finished basement. Now that part of the basement on that wall, I've parched coat the inside when I was rebuilding to waterproof it. However, waterproof it really doesn't work unless you're on the outside of the house. I've waterproofed the entire outside of the house that has the basement except for under the porch because at the time, I didn't need to, one, and I did not want to tear out a porch to waterproof it. But since the water is now becoming an issue, getting rid of taking out the porch, putting in my waterproofing to continue around the basement is kind of the option.
Looks to me, just looking at that picture right there, there's at least 3 different colors of brick. Is that right?
I have 2.
The house looks...
Which is that bright red one right there?
On the right is the house. The left is the columns, and they don't look the same. Are they?
They are the same.
They are the same? Okay. And then the steps, so the edge of the step, is that the same as the front?
That is the same as the band between the extension porch and the other porch. It's like a smooth, like that red band right there. It's the same kind right there.
In the middle there, okay.
Yes.
And on the left and right, that brick does match the house?
Yes.
Okay. Same as the columns?
Correct.
Right. This looks different, but... So it looks like the...
So where you're showing that, on this one, between the columns, it looks like there's a band of brick right there.
Right.
Is that brick attached to the half and whole brick?
Yeah, that brick goes half and whole, half and whole, half and whole.
That's the one you can see from the front that matches
And you say that matches the house.
Yeah.
Correct.
I don't, I think, I don't know. I would
It's tough.
I think they used the other brick because it was a smooth, more paver, it was to be used on the ground. They didn't use the brick from the house on the step because it was not intended to be used
Not a paver?
as a paver.
Okay.
So I'm not so sure it's not original, but without proof, I don't know.
Interesting. What does the right side think?
Because there are a lot of really unusual concrete porches on bigger houses in the historic districts that have all sorts of this 4x4 tile in red, green, all sorts of other stuff that they did originally or shortly after. I don't know.
I think one of the things, if there's holes in the foundation wall that have been sealed up, that indicates that there used to be some, cavity or something, like a wood deck. Or
That's what I thought, like some crawl space underneath there too.
Yeah, otherwise why would you have those access So I don't know.
Yeah, that was very puzzling to me with this house, because those access holes are right underneath those, see those two windows over there? Those are like grills, like vents or grills of some sort, and they're actually directly below those. And I didn't know if there was some kind of mechanical steamer thing, if you need to, yeah, I just didn't know, I've never seen that. I'm like, it's beyond me, and I've researched, and I just, haven't found a reason for it.
Yeah.
Well, I want to comment on a couple of things. For one thing, those access holes, I have that in my house, which is about a block and a half south, not just a block south of Marks. And actually, they go out to the porch, which is concrete. And so it's not that unusual, for whatever that's worth.
It goes under the porch, under the concrete?
Under the concrete porch, yeah. And also, last month, or December, when you first came up, Mark, I was not here, but I sent an email to the commission and explained that probably it was going to come up, that my yard does have stamped concrete, and it does have sparge, which is a tile and grout pattern, on the front porch. All of that was done about 25 years ago pursuant to a certificate of appropriateness. We got a CA. The guidelines were changed about 2 years later, and now stamped concrete and sparge and those sorts of things are not, for the most part, allowed. So I couldn't get a CA today to do what we were able to do 25 years ago. Right. So, just get the record clear.
I understand that, like time changes and everything like that.
Yeah.
I was just using that as an example, much like even my neighbors have, like, it's like on their little round porch, like the concrete was stamped that. It was something that was done. I don't know when theirs was done, and I don't know when yours was done, but I was just kind of, it does help define the personality of our neighborhood, unless we just want to go back to where we're building cookie cutters and just everything's the same,
Well, let me, if I can comment. It may be, I haven't looked at this hasn't come up since I've been on the commission until now, and we're not talking about the backyard now, but as I recall the discussion 25 years ago, about 23 actually, when the guidelines were changed, there was some leeway with what you did in your backyard. I don't know, this may have come up before the commission in the last few years before I became a member. So whatever was done in the backyard sometimes is approved, but not the front yard. So I know that may be an explanation for that. There is at least one house in Putnam Heights that does have tile from the street to the front porch, and I can't remember whether the porch is tiled or not, but we do know that is original. And it is, a hand-laid tile, very expensive. Probably couldn't even do it these days. And they also have a flagstone driveway, which is, for most people prohibitive these days as well, real stuff. So there are some examples of that. There are a couple of porches, at least in Putnam Heights, that do have tile on the porch, but we know it was done not originally. May have been done before we were HP. We're not sure about that.
Right.
So as far as evidence of original tiled porches and sidewalks and that kind of thing, it's kind of
tough.
A mixed bag there. And the architects know more than I whether this could be original or not. That's a little bit of history about that status of things in Putnam Heights.
It's good, thanks. I don't know. So, can you explain your condition number 4? Because you're recommending approval, but then you have 4.
What is that? Which one is it?
Condition number 4 in the staff recommendation was that should discovery be made that the tile and grout are original to the porch, these items could be administratively approved for installation as an amendment to the CA.
Okay.
And that kind of doesn't have to be a condition that goes without saying. If we have historic documentation that this was there, if something's uncovered during the work to the porch, that could be brought to staff and staff could amend the CA to allow the tile and the grout to go back, assuming that it's not approved that way.
The idea was hoping to find other halves of bricks or bricks that pertain to the house, because I was recommending saw cutting along the band, so I don't cut the brick of the band, and try to get a solid band in there and not a zipper-looking thing. That was what I was intending to try.
I think what staff is trying to say is there's two options based on the fact that the porch does need to be repaired. That's your first.
It does.
That's the beginning of the project.
Correct.
It's leaking.
Yes.
So one would be that unless there's proof that the porch is not historic, then you would have two choices. You could put it back as is. I mean, you could build a new porch and have it look like that, with the exception, in my thought, with a new design for that first step, whatever that is.
Slab.
Or
yes.
not knowing, and based on the fact that the porch needs to be repaired, you could do the concrete only. Is that what staff is recommending?
I think staff had kind of assumed that the tile feature was not historic, and it said that our direction was that it should go back in concrete, and just concrete, unless we have evidence that this was historic, because we've generally seen this at houses where we know it was added later.
Well, I think it could be original, and like Katie said, you could find that out. You may not know that until you break into it, but that the idea would be, and then you could make your, So I'm saying basically the same thing, I guess. They have the choice, or if you find proof of something else. But generally, we don't approve like a new design based on,
What was there?
well, no, what you're wanting is like, it's not based on anything about the house. It's the stamped concrete or anything like that. It's not.
Well, his new porch plan is, you do say stain, okay? In
Yeah.
case it's saying no
Right.
stain. What about the saw cut pattern?
That's what I thought the whole issue was. Is like I was trying to do a saw cut pattern to simulate the terracotta tile, so I don't have to go in there.
Well, you could do concrete with just a saw cut pattern. I don't know if that's,
So, I mean, it's a tough one.
Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I know I have to fix the wall. I know that
Right.
at this point, and trying to do it without less damage as possible.
so what is it you want to do in lieu of the no color, no stain, it can't be tinted, might be original. Are you still wanting to do a saw cut pattern?
Yes, sir.
Okay, but no stain.
We wanted to stain the pattern.
What?
We wanted to stain the pattern to be a darker color.
The pattern, you mean in the saw cut?
Yes.
So would you be doing the exact same pattern that's on the porch now?
It would be almost the same pattern, but just not 6 by 6. They're 12 by 12s.
See, I think that's where we're deviating, where we can't, it's hard for us to prove something that doesn't have a basis for that design.
Okay.
So that's where we have to kind of neutral, stay with what we are, or find more information that we could base a different decision on.
So y'all would be willing if it had the same pattern?
6 by 6?
I mean,
Because that's just dividing that into two.
It's a lot of saw cuts.
I mean,
It is.
then we're saying that, we think that maybe that would have been original. I don't know. It's a tough one.
So I need some clarification. A saw cut pattern?
Page 8 of 9 shows a saw cut pattern. Yeah.
And a saw cut pattern is
Concrete.
within the guidelines?
I don't know. Is it?
Well, okay, so I think we have a couple of different things to consider here that might, one is replacing the extension, that concrete pad that comes out from the patio, the porch, with steps between the two brick knee walls. I think everyone agrees that was
Yes.
likely the historic condition.
Correct.
Another issue is the brick along the lip of the porch, which you would like to keep. except for cutting it off so that it doesn't have the zigzag.
Yes, basically cut a line down the longest brick.
And that's to essentially facilitate putting in the concrete, because that's
Yeah,
really difficult
and
to
keep
rip
the
out and
brick.
redo. But keep that brick. The third issue is whether or not to go back with plain concrete, assuming that the tile was added later and is not historic, go back with a pattern treatment of the concrete that attempts to replicate the look of the tile, or I think what Joe was suggesting is that you could actually replicate the tile if we think that that's the historic condition.
Replace it, duplicate. Not replicate, the saw cut, you're trying to replicate the pattern. There's a third, which is just no pattern, just a concrete
Right.
slab with,
Yeah.
you know, the appropriate expansion joints.
True. But then we wouldn't be here.
Huh?
Then we wouldn't be here.
Well-
Because you said if I eliminate the pattern, then it's just going to get approved through administration.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes.
So,
Or someone said, one commissioner said, I don't know.
Well,
back in the day, they probably never had a saw cut pattern, so
right, oh, we're just, you know.
so that's really probably,
Once again, I'm in agreement that that's an idea that is really not based on anything. It's a compromise, but this is a,
Well, I don't see any difference in a saw cut pattern and stamped concrete, because a stamp
Right.
just cuts into the
Right.
concrete, as does a saw, but the stamp is a pattern of some
Right.
sort.
it's usually colored too, but, yeah.
So I don't see the difference there.
well, we're back to either plain concrete or place it as it is. I mean,
Duplicate,
do it back the same.
yeah.
With the terracotta.
Unless when you
With the
start
tile.
taking it apart, you find evidence of something else.
Right.
Yeah, I think the saw cut pattern is kind of in between and not appropriate.
Neither option, I know, is not what you want to do.
The other thing I did notice, which was kind of interesting with this porch, is the concrete porches that I did see. They had a tendency to be 3 inches thick, and you can see them from the street, and they had like a 1-inch overhang at
Right.
the edge, where this one has no overhang. So I thought that was interesting. That was another thing that kind of pushed the idea that that concrete right there, like something was taking off, and then
Right. But, you know, if you would have had, I don't know what else, are you thinking it might have been wood in the beginning?
yes.
But if it would have been wood in the beginning and it would have sat on your half and half brick, then the wood would have been taller than the base
Yeah.
Okay.
of the brick, and so if it was the overhang, if you're saying there was an overhang, so it must just, so I don't know that it would have had an
Okay.
overhang in that case.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
another guess
yeah.
there.
That's kind of why, I appreciate y'all's knowledge in this. So it's like, these are kind of like interesting things. I'm like, yeah, I'm not used to seeing this stuff. Y'all might have more knowledge in that.
Well, we like to get down to the details, you know. That's
hear
what
ya.
we're all about here.
That's all me.
The level of that porch, is it sloping from the back to the front?
Yeah, it's sloping backwards.
And on the right side, is it settled?
There's a big old crack in the middle where you see the front door at the corner, where you see the corner of the door, the far corner. If you go, that's almost parallel with that. No, down. Yeah, right there. Down. Right there. That's a huge crack that has settled that goes all the way across the porch.
So the right side is settling?
In the middle.
The middle is settling. But along the side, it looks like the porch used to be higher. If you look along the brick wall, it looks like there's a line of,
Yes,
the back
it's
Settling.
that is settling along that wall.
Yes, stands, yeah. Along the whole face of it, you can see.
I just wonder if there's a
Movement.
remnant of an old slab, but it's settling. Okay.
And then
I
that's where the
agree with
water
you.
is coming in.
Yeah, most of the water's coming in where that crack's at. It seems that, and that band, that brick band, it's like the whole extension in the front is pushing forward, and the band, the joints are separating, and it comes in there, and then it comes on the crack, and it all just kind of gets funneled to this back wall, and then down the wall.
Kind of an unusual design because the door is not between the columns.
I thought so too. I was even talking about that today. The so unusual is like, typically you would see a sidewalk going straight to the steps, where
Right.
I have driveway sidewalk way over here, and the sidewalk goes sideways to what would be the steps and everything. It's not like a grand, here's the house look. It's you know.
I wonder if that whole porch was,
That's where I was going with that.
yeah, the whole porch was added on or modified at one point.
At one
Somehow.
point, because then that makes more sense when you look at the grout on the column versus the grout on the house.
Looks different. yeah.
Different.
And the columns look different to me, but anyhow, we got what you've got, so.
Right.
Okay, have we come up with any sort of motion?
Do you have something that you would like to propose?
He submitted it.
Yes,
Yeah.
I know, but
Thank you, Alan.
would you like to offer a change?
So,
You want some time to think about it? Or?
No, I took some time to think about it already. It is what it is, so I'm just kind of at the mercy of you guys to see what y'all come up with.
okay.
I mean, I think that I would make a motion based on staff's recommendations, that basically that you could do all concrete unless there was discovery during demolition, and then if you found something and that changed your mind about what you wanted to do, you could come back to staff or have them come out or
Okay.
present that. Is that where we're?
In the are you saying only all concrete, or are you saying also I'm allowed to do the terracotta tile if I find a tile to replace it, or if I say
I think I would be of mind that you could replace it
Okay.
like it is. That would be an option. One option, replace it as it is. But we do need some kind of documentation on what you plan to do the front step.
What do you mean?
Are you, that big piece, are you redoing that?
No, it's gone. Yeah, I threw it out.
Yep, that's on his, I think, plan for
Yeah.
the porch. That's going away and will be a set of stairs down between the brick.
His plan shows that gone.
Oh, okay.
So that's
His floor
demolished.
plan
That's
for the
on it.
porch.
The question is all concrete or replicate what's there?
Or if he finds any evidence that could, change the design during demolition, you could come in and discuss that with staff, which is what she's saying, discovery.
So approve all concrete with that condition?
Okay, so there would really be another condition.
Okay?
So condition 5. So condition 5 would be or replace identical to what's there. Is that what's existing? To what's existing?
You want to make a motion?
I am.
Okay.
I make a motion to approve item HPCA 17-00043 with the specific findings as noted by the staff in the staff report in the following conditions. Number 1, that the porch steps and sidewalks be replaced with concrete in a similar finish to match the concrete of the original front porch. 2, that the concrete not be tinted to simulate tile or grout. 3, that the brick will not be installed on the surface of the porch floor or steps. 4, that should discovery be made that tile and grout are original to the porch, and I'm going to add in there, or other original findings, that it could be administratively approved for installation as an amendment, or you may replace it identical to what is existing.
Okay.
Okay? Is that okay with you?
I really like the saw cut. Just because it stays concrete and, it's less hunting if I wanted the pattern in there. But whatever y'all decide.
We get creative with your control joints.
Right, yeah.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Joe Meacham, second by Ann Zacharitz. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, I think we approved something.
Thank you, guys. Probably see you in about 6 months, though.
Okay. All right, next.
HPCA 17-00191 at 928 Northwest 18th Street, Mestre Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Regina Roof by Ty McBride of Territory Building Company, LLC, for certificate of appropriateness to 1, replace non-historic windows, elective.
Okay. Is the applicant present? Doesn't look like it.
And
Okay.
the commission heard this last month and continued it with the request that they revise drawings based on the historic photos that had been submitted of the windows that they were attempting to replicate. We haven't received any additional documentation from them at this point. I think we could continue to the April 4th meeting to give them time to complete that.
Okay.
Sorry. I would make a motion to continue HPCA 17-00191 to the April 4th meeting.
Second.
Moved by Joe Meacham, second by Suzanne Broadbent. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Okay, continued. Next.
HPCA 17-00209 at 216 Northwest 35th Street, Edgemere Park, Ward 2, consideration and possible action on application of Amber Matlack by Sam Gresham of Sam Gresham Architects for certificate of appropriateness to 1, construct 2-story addition elective, 2, install rear door elective, 3, construct rear porch elective, and 4, install concrete patio elective.
Okay.
Sam Gresham here to represent the owner.
Where's the rendering? You always have a rendering.
Should have done one.
I move we approve this one. No. Okay. Any questions for Sam?
We presented this last month, and at the hearing, we were asked to make some changes, one of which was to simplify the roof, which we did. And also on the east side of the building, previously the second floor, proposed second floor, was out even with the exterior east wall. We moved it back 4 feet away from that wall so that sightlines, you could stand on the driveway and look back there and you won't see it. The historic low, one-story roof would be all that would be visible. On the west side, there was a dormer that is already set back, and that's just for circulation. We come up to the top of the stairs and turn. So visually, I guess, given the picture that's up on the screen now, that that's the place where we shoved it back 4 feet, or actually almost 5 feet away from the exterior wall of the house. And these were the conditions that, well, Mary Jo and I discussed it with you guys. It was also your idea that we have none that would be projecting anything higher than the ridge on the front of the house, which we took all that off. It's gone. The roof has been lowered to be below that level all the way back. As part of the process of simplifying that roof, and removed a back porch. There was a porch cover back there. We took it off and replaced it with an arbor.
So this is my neighborhood, so I was comment. I wasn't here last month. Just seems like an awfully big addition.
Big?
I mean, it looks big. The roof line looks, I don't know, just to me, because people all the time are wanting to expand their attics, and the way it's done, it just seems you can still see the remnants of the original roof, but not much.
Well, the back roof is not the primary facade. I mean, you would agree that 612 in the back is
And I was just talking about this because doing something similar, if it's visible from the street, and continue the roof line, at some point making a lot of modifications, but doesn't appear to be anything in the guidelines that says you have to preserve the original roof line, but it's usually at the back of the house. It's behind the front or the main roof. So I don't know. What do you guys think?
We had this discussion, I mean, in terms of
Yeah, I
moving
know.
it in, and we did squeeze it in and
I
do
understand.
all that we were requested to do.
I started out saying I wasn't here, so I'm revisiting something that was already talked about. You guys satisfied?
We did discuss, the items that we did discuss have been changed.
Okay.
Anybody?
Is it a motion then?
I'd make a motion to, can I hear myself? Make a motion to approve HPCA 17-00209. Are there any conditions? With the specific findings as noted by staff in the staff report. With the, let's see, the design, not compatible. And with the exception of number 3, which I don't want to say that they're not compatible if we're going to approve it. Are we in agreement that they are compatible?
It's hard to do in addition on these houses. I mean, it's very difficult.
Yeah, this is a tough style, I agree.
Yeah.
Well,
Still questions?
there comes a point when you shouldn't do it then.
Right.
It's hard to do.
Well, Alan, it's been reduced. I mean, its width has been
I understand.
considerably
Right.
restricted.
Just responding to Joe's comment, it's a hard style.
It is a difficult style to add on to, but I will just say, last time that the discussion did not go to no, no, no. It went to, we would like to see some changes.
Yeah. Well, okay.
So with that in mind, I'm going to say to change specific finding number 3 to that the design, proportion, and size of the proposed addition with related alterations are compatible with the historic structure and the surrounding district.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Joe Meacham, and seconded by Greg Eddington. All in favor?
Oh, yeah.
Opposed? Nay? Do we have a quorum? Do we have a majority? Okay. I just think it's too big, in my opinion.
I'm sorry.
Did you vote?
I needed to abstain. I'm very sorry. I was reading this online the other day, and until I got here and saw the picture, I realized it was my listing. So I'm,
It's your listing.
I'm abstaining.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
it's
I
post-listing.
recused myself last month.
So then do we have a majority with,
I'm abstaining.
okay. All right. So you've been approved.
Sorry.
Thank you. Thank you.
That's all right, George. All right, next.
HPCA 17-00210 at 809 Northwest 18th Street, Mesta Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Christy Forth for certificate of appropriateness to 1, construct additional floor at existing addition, elective. 2, remove balcony and doors at south elevation of addition, elective. 3, replace sliding doors at rear second story with window, elective. 4, install French doors with side lights at rear first floor, elective. I'm not going to read all of the items, 5 through 11, various renovations to the house. This is a really long one. So you all have the list in front of you. And the applicant's representative is not listed on the copy of the application that you have, but spoke on their behalf at the previous meeting.
Yes.
And we've emailed confirming that he's here to speak for them.
Okay, my name's Ross Vivona, 1001 Silver Oaks, Edmond, Oklahoma.
And I will note that you had a copy of an email from a neighbor commenting on this
I do.
application at your seat.
We'll start wherever you want.
Have you discussed this with the neighbor?
My partner, I'm a partner with her on this particular project, not on the 38th one. She has called him and clarified that we're not, somewhere something was misunderstood. We're not touching his fence.
Okay.
He did, it was a congenial meeting, as I understand it, from Christina. He didn't agree, but I can address anything that is in his letter.
Well, it was dated today.
Yeah, it's kind of unfortunate that I'm here and he's not. Be tough to defend himself.
Okay, so what was the comment? Or,
From the neighbor?
I can't find it.
They were many.
It's at the back of the packet of additional materials you had at your seat. Yeah, I'll just quickly summarize since
Starts
the neighbor
out
wasn't
with-
here. They had,
Is that page?
it looks like it's an email that has Paula Hurst's name at the top of the email.
I got it. Okay.
First, noting the concern about the prohibition of a vertical addition in Nesta Park. He mentions the ambiguity in the guidelines, which we kind of touched on in the staff report, that the guidelines prohibit a vertical addition, which it defines as adding a two-story addition to a one-story period. It doesn't say one-story house or one-story portion of a house. There is a graphic in the guidelines that shows a two-story structure behind a one-story structure and indicates that as a vertical addition. We've seen numerous applications to add another story on a single story behind an existing two-story structure. I can't say that I can recall how many of those have been in Nesta Park, but
to clarify, really, you're saying the guidelines allow for a two-story addition on a two-story house?
That's how staff has interpreted
Right.
that yes, it's 2 stories, but it's on a house that's already 2 stories, and it's still lower than the height of the house.
I don't understand their objection, but I think the addition very fits within the massing of the house, and so I don't understand that. Plus, it improves on the roof line of the back addition, which is kind of odd the way it is.
The next main point about the design is a concern about the fence, which I think they clarify. There was a misunderstanding about which fence was proposed to be altered. And then, I skipped over it. I think concern about adding windows to the existing garage, just because that allows additional visibility into neighbors' yards.
Do you have, I'm not seeing the square footage.
There's a floor plan in the
Is it stated in
addition.
the staff report that the square footage that's being added is within the guidelines?
I don't think we had anything that defined the square footage, but based on the dimensions that were provided, it looked like it was well below the allowed 750 square feet, or 50% of the footprint of the house, whichever is larger of the two.
Talking about the garage?
No, the second floor addition
Was within,
was within what the guidelines allow for an addition.
of 750 square feet?
Uh-huh.
I think if you do the math, it's around 300 square feet that we're adding. And the purpose being, it had a shed roof that is terrible.
Yeah.
It's bad construction. So remedying that and adding the footage and enhancing what I think is a better roof line was the purpose of doing it.
Paula, could you show all the pictures again, please? That one, right.
Be in the back.
On that projected area, is the balcony, was it something that was added, or?
What you see there was added on to the original, I mean, that was classic 4 square. And what you see there was added on to the back of the house, from what I could tell by the materials used, sometime pre-1970.
There's one on that, is there one on the house next door?
I don't know what they did next door. They have 3
Up
different
there,
kinds.
there's about, I mean, there's
Yeah,
about.
yes. I mean, that, yeah.
And then under the balcony is,
That was a door going to nowhere.
Who knows?
is it maybe made into a duplex at one point?
No,
No?
no. Someone added on some footage on the back.
Well, from the Sanborns, we have a Sanborn map that goes back to 1919, and it didn't make it into your staff reports. It's a hard copy one. I should have taken a photo. But it shows this as a dwelling. That little extension off the back is not there, and there's a porch that then by 1922 was enclosed. And by 1922, that little weird bump-out extension is present. The 22 Sanborn is on page 12 of 50 in your staff reports. From 1922 through, so in 1919, it's a dwelling. 1922 through 1955, it is listed as flats, which would suggest apartments.
Right.
Really? Very good.
And it actually shows a fire escape coming off the back of the house.
Yes.
Okay.
Where those
Yeah,
sliding
I
doors
did not know
are.
So Katie, are you saying that
So-
the part that we're looking at was added before 1922?
It was added as by 1922.
By
It was there.
1922.
Yeah, so not original, but almost 100 years old at this point. Although I don't know if that balcony was there and that sort of thing.
Right.
I have a comment
That probably
about
was stairs.
the proposed north elevation. Why does the eave line not match the original house eave line of the addition? It's higher, and then the window head is higher. Is there a floor elevation change?
The north elevation,
Looking at the proposed north elevation, is there a floor elevation change?
no, there is not.
Just wondering why the eave line doesn't match the original house, second floor eave line.
That was to accommodate the shed area that covers the lower porch, where you have the double windows flanked with side lights.
Talking about the upper floor.
Yes.
I don't understand that. Eave line could be, seems like it could match the existing, could it not?
Oh, I can tell you why. The
Looks weird with the head, the windows
Yeah,
are not aligned.
I get that, an 8-foot ceiling, at least, in the new addition. On the right, where the eave line does not match up, I think you're telling me at one point that was a porch, it was enclosed, and someone put a room above that enclosed area, tied in that short hip, or small hip, it's not even the same roof pitch, and that was falling down. In fact, the floor in it was 6 inches out of level.
Okay.
So-
Yeah, it looks like there is a line on your existing, there's a line that says that it's about a foot above the top of the existing beam. So it looks like there's a different floor level. Is that?
There is not, there's a difference in ceiling level.
In ceiling, okay. I don't understand how it would look a lot better if the eave line aligned and the
Well, it'd
windows.
probably look better if the roof was the same pitch, too. I can't.
Well,
It's there.
your addition matches the existing roof
Yes.
pitch, which I think looks a lot better than what's there right now, personally. It's just the windows, to me, not aligning looks odd.
I can align the windows and make a smaller window on that
Well,
old
it depends on
addition.
the interior. I don't understand the floor level still, but
The floor plan, we added that window because somewhere someone thought it looked better. That's going to be a closet, so I'm going to have to try to mitigate working around a window. It's strictly for exterior looks. There's already 2 windows on the west side of that same.
is there a first floor plan in here? A second floor plan? I don't see it. Is there a second floor plan?
I don't believe there is. I think we have a first floor and
Yeah.
a site plan and a roof plan, but
Okay.
not second floor.
Well, I'm trying to figure out the second floor.
I think part of the reason that the bottom of the windows is where it is because it is where the shed roof that extends over the porch meets the wall, if you look at the west elevation.
I'm trying to figure this out, sorry. The west elevation, okay? Yeah, the west elevation windows align existing. Oh, and then the proposed. I still don't understand why the eave line can't line up with the original second floor eave line. And the overhang's not the same either.
Oh, I could do it. I can make it happen.
I think it would look better, but I just don't understand.
Well, part of the reason is to have kept that shed roof that covers the patio and have egress windows there. Those are 3050 windows
On the north?
on the north elevation, and that drove the eave line of the addition, working from the ground up.
I think those are very large windows. I think they could be smaller and still get egress.
3050 for a bedroom
This,
egress
and
is
then
kind of
this.
standard.
But then,
What's that? That you don't have to have 3050, double hung, so one section would be 3 feet. I don't know, it would look better if the eave aligned and the head of the windows aligned.
right. Are the floors, are the floors on the second floor all the same height? You don't step down, do you?
Nothing steps down.
No.
The only thing that happens
Apparently, it's that the remnant of the roof raises the sill up, so he raised the whole window up.
Okay.
And I would just go with a shorter window, I think. You could even go with something, I don't know.
I can do a casement and
casement.
make egress.
Yeah, casement maybe. Are there any casements anywhere?
The other is the divided lights on the bottom, on the doors and windows. Don't we usually ask for single pane
On the
or
back?
not, on the back?
We allow thermal pane, divided light.
But are these,
Those aren't thermopane.
are they just false?
Single, tempered glass. They're just single. I tried to keep it.
With, and
Sorry?
so my preference would be, particularly in that case, not to have the false grid.
There's no false grid. These are
What?
true divided
Oh,
lights.
they are true divided
True
lights.
divided lights, single glaze.
Single lights, okay. I think the one question that staff had was on the west elevation. It looks like it's where the kitchen is proposed, and there was a window on the first floor with a window on the second floor over that one, and you're proposing 2 windows, and staff is saying that it's forward of our 30%. Is that?
Yes.
We can design around that and leave the original window. I have a tough time wrapping my head around some of this, as I've made a study of Foursquare. This particular attention is driven on the front side, the curb side, always. Not always followed, but that was the intent. The randomness on the sides and the rear of the house is dictated oftentimes not by the original designer, but where the client wanted a room or a window. And I get that, and I try to be as close to accurate as I can. But I'm going to do whatever makes you guys happy. That's my goal here.
I think that was the only thing that staff had a comment.
So on those back doors, no divided light? Is that what you're saying, Joe?
True divided light, but single pane tempered.
Yes,
Okay.
correct.
I just don't see a divided light like that. The front of the house is very simple.
Right, that's,
And you know what? I would just as soon put in a single without the true divided light. I kept with that because that was what was on the back of the house on the north side. And there's no great
but they were
purpose
not
for that.
original. What was
No.
there was not original.
Exactly.
I mean,
If you think it's easier for me, I would just as soon have an insulated single light
I
door.
think just looking at the existing front, that would be appropriate.
Right, I agree. That's kind of where I was going, is that it
I'm in on
matches
that.
the other windows better.
Yeah, good. How do I make these changes for approval?
Submit new drawings to, I mean, if we approve, we'll approve with conditions, and then you just submit those changes to
Okay,
staff.
and then I can get a certificate of appropriateness and go get a building permit, is that correct?
Yes.
You're not going to make me wait 30 days, are you?
Do what? I don't know, we haven't made a motion yet.
Okay. I'm getting ahead of myself, sorry.
I got one more question. I'm just curious on the north elevation, that area on the right, are those doors leading out of the upper floor with no,
No, there was a door, a sliding glass door that was going to when I say nowhere, if you'd opened it, should have fallen out.
that's what I mean.
Yeah,
It's there. Oh, wow, okay.
that was before my time.
Which falls under, what were they thinking? Okay.
It what?
What were they thinking? A door to nowhere.
Oh, there wasn't a porch.
On the Sanborn map, it shows that there was a fire escape
Oh, okay.
from that opening.
I see,
So
okay.
apparently
Which
the
makes you
fire
wonder-
escape went away and they just kept the doors.
Makes you wonder if it's a duplex then.
Oh, yeah, so that's what it said.
And you're going back with a double-hung window.
Yes.
Are you replacing windows?
We are refurbishing all of the side windows that were existing, even found another one, reglazed, new jambs, new ropes, new weights. Tough
Yeah,
job.
what about the windows in the garage?
North, south, east. Did you supply a floor plan of the upstairs of the garage?
No. I have to apologize for if I seem unprepared. Had the flu, pneumonia, and eye surgery. You could just put an X on January. It was tough.
Well, I understand that.
It appears that you have windows on all four sides, and since the neighbor is perhaps asking if there could be, no windows maybe on his side, would that
I'm
be
good.
possible?
I'm fine with that. Only put windows because of the style. I'd just soon not have them.
What's your thought?
Well, okay, so you're reversing the door, putting on the north, right? Infilling the south.
On the garage,
I'm looking at the garage, the proposed garage north elevation has a garage door. And the south elevation shows the door being filled in?
I believe currently
right?
there are two garage doors, correct? There's
Correct.
one that accesses
Correct.
from the alley
Correct.
and one that accesses from
Okay.
the driveway.
It-
So they're
okay.
proposing to close off the one
Okay, there- I
accesses
see.
from the driveway
So
and
you're
just
gonna-
use the alley access.
You're going to close off the one on in the driveway?
correct.
Okay. All right.
I want to note that as a condition to be clarified on the plan.
Yeah, and to me, then looking at the driveway, you're going to see that blank wall and siding. It looks odd.
We're going to try to, and I think it's in here, reclaim earth, because that driveway is a funnel right into the garage and a very poor drain it goes into. So by removing the fence and part of the driveway that somebody else had put in, we're going to try to build up and reclaim the yard, and that's why we didn't want a garage door there.
Okay.
Then that needs to be clarified.
Yeah, what to me is, it just doesn't seem right to have a driveway, or you're looking at the garage, it's going to be siding.
Well, there's quite a few on garage. What street is this on?
Is there a
This is 18.
picture of that? Because
Yeah,
from the street,
The
that,
picture looking from the street?
okay, the opposite direction, you almost had it,
Right there.
right there.
You're going to look down there and just see siding.
So the building you see there is the neighbor's garage
Oh, it is?
to the,
Yeah.
that is the garage of the house to the left. The garage to this house that they're proposing to remove the door on is actually very difficult to see from the street, and there's quite a drop down into the
Exactly.
backyard.
So that white back there is the neighbor's garage?
Yes. And one other note that I think we commented on in the staff report, but as late as 1955, that porte cochere doesn't exist, according to the Sanborn map.
Oh, it's gone?
Really?
So whether or not that driveway was originally the access point is not clear. There's, I think, quite a few driveways or garages here that have alley access.
There are.
So I guess I'm confused. So that porte cochere is gone?
No, the porte cochere is not original.
Not original. Okay. And you're saying that garage back there is not, this just perspective, that should be the garage, but I don't understand that. So my point is, I think you'll see the garage as shown on the side plan at the end of the driveway, and it'll be just siding, no garage door. I guess my point is maybe some windows or something at the ground floor level, just something to, I don't know, make
I'll
that
take
more.
the two windows facing the neighbors and put them underneath the two windows facing, and I'm not out anything.
Which elevation faces the neighbors?
It would be the one facing west.
West
I'm
elevation?
sorry. Yes. No, it's facing east.
East?
Yes. Turned around. Sorry.
East. It's the west elevation.
Yes.
Okay. So east,
So the garage is there. Sorry. The garage is there.
so east, you would eliminate the two on the east side. Okay. So it would look like it does not now. Well, I think it'd be better if you want to move those two windows, you know. Are you leaving the door on the south?
The door that faces south, we are leaving that door, yes.
Leaving
yes,
that door.
yes.
So
That
maybe
is the,
two windows below the two windows on the left, maybe that, move those two windows?
I'm good with that.
I don't know what you guys think, but I
That
think,
would be the north elevation.
no, the south elevation, facing
Facing south.
the driveway.
Two windows on the first floor.
Yeah, just, I think it'd be better to have something there than blank siding.
Sure.
I can see why you don't want to have two garage doors. And a door, so there'd be two windows and a door. Okay, anybody else? I'm getting tired.
Okay.
So this is a non-historic two-story garage. I guess I'm just curious about
There it is.
adding all these windows
Yeah, okay, that's good.
and what the justification and the guidelines for
I
that
can
is.
tell you why we did. That, what you see there on the far left is straight. When we came onto the property, that had a bulge of better than a foot. Bad construction.
I see what you're
We
saying now. Okay,
put
I
a
have to-
floor in, which made that whole area rigid. So we have a floor up there for storage or whatever anyone would want. Light seemed to be a factor.
Were there no windows?
No. There's no windows
That's
up
odd.
there.
Just a big
Yeah.
cube.
I mean, when
How do you get, is the stairway inside?
inside, yes.
So that shows it real well. Now I understand. It's hidden behind the house.
All we really have to go on for windows, adding windows to existing garages, is that spacing inside, 3.9.7, spacing and sizes of new window and door openings in a garage or other accessory building must be compatible with the existing accessory building and similar to their historic counterparts within the property, streetscape, or district, as must the proportion of window to wall space without necessarily duplicating them. And we do frequently see windows in the second floor of two-story garages. I would say it's actually kind of unusual to have no windows in a two-story garage. So,
I mean, they may have just put siding over them. Did you see any indication that they had windows?
That was new construction. I mean, the pad, the footing, everything.
Garage
Was, when I say new, I couldn't tell you when. There's a particular siding that they use, which we know is styrofoam, and that
Right.
kind of went out in the 70s, so it was done sometime around that.
We know that the garage is post-1955. It's not shown in that location on the Sanborn map.
Which one?
Suzanne, did you have suggestions on the windows?
Well, no, I was just kind of struck by adding all those windows and just wondering, Katie's answered my question pretty much. We don't have many guidelines on what to do if there aren't any windows and whether it's appropriate to add them. Just maybe a question. Maybe, and also reading the neighbor's concern about the,
I'm saying eliminate the windows on the east elevation, and then they wouldn't have those windows looking into their backyard.
Well, that's what he proposed to do and move them
I
down.
mean, he's in agreement. Is that, would
Yes.
that, is there anything else in the neighbor's comment that we could address that would be?
well, while we're talking about windows in the garage, I mean, he does also reference the property on the other side, not his, but he says, expressing a concern that he may be projecting onto the other neighbor, but both of them would be affected by the addition of windows on the east side.
Right.
And I have no problem in eliminating the windows on the sides that look at the neighbors. We did it thinking we might be complying with, can't read your minds, what you might be thinking looks appropriate. So I have no
I think the
problem
windows are
eliminating
appropriate,
that.
personally.
I
And
agree.
the
but-
neighbors to the east, I understand that, but there's a lot of two-story garages probably around here, I don't know. But just eliminate them on one side, I guess, if it makes them happy.
Okay.
But, yeah, windows on the second floor would be appropriate.
I agree.
Yeah.
I agree as well, and as Katie said, this garage sits further down. There's a slope.
Yeah, you can see it.
They've got second-floor windows east and west on the house. So it doesn't seem to me, if you're in the garage looking out the window, that you're looking at anything differently than you'd be looking at in the house from those
From the
same
house,
east
yeah.
and west windows.
They're just used to not having windows. They're-
What, final word on windows for the garage? Leave them off on the east and add them on the front, so that would be equal number?
Yeah, well, the neighbor makes the point that those garage windows allow view right into their backyard.
Into their backyard.
It's one thing to be looking at your house wall, but it's another thing to be
Right.
looking into your backyard.
So-
It is the city. I mean, you know.
Okay. Will y'all correct me as I go along if you want?
No, I agree that on that east side, I don't think we need to necessarily take them off the west side as well, because there's a neighbor on that side, because then we have the argument of, well, then we have to take them off the back of the garage because there's a neighbor behind
Right.
them.
Well, they all got notified, so.
Right, I mean, it's a request, and they did respond, so I just want to, if we can respond to that, that would be great. Okay, I make a motion to approve HPCA 17-00210, items 2, 3, 4, 5, and 7, with the specific findings for item 2.
And you don't have to read the findings if
I'm
you're...
not going to.
Okay.
I'm just looking at them. Then the specific findings for item 3, I just want to make sure that I'm in agreement here. The specific findings for 4, 5, and 6 do not appear. And the specific finding for item 7, as noted by the staff in the staff report. Item 9, let's see, that the proposed windows meet the guidelines with the specific findings, number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, and I would like to add a number 5, with the condition that the proposed windows on the second floor on the
East.
side be eliminated, and that those same windows be added to the south elevation on the first floor.
Very good.
Okay. Item 1, construct the addition. Was there any additional information we needed on that that's not included in the specific findings? And that the condition that the final drawings be submitted prior to release. So you can just get with staff if there's something that we've discussed that needs to be shown on there. I would add, with the construction, I guess, we could do this one, with the second condition that a site plan needs to be included that clearly shows the direction, the side of the garage that the garage doors will be on.
Can do that.
And item 8, I think that, let's see, that the applicant has agreed to eliminate item 8, the 2 windows versus the 1 window on the west elevation.
Okay?
Is that correct?
I'm confused.
And we would put the original one where it was.
Yes.
Okay.
Did you address the alignment of the eve line?
I did not.
Where would that go?
That would go, we can add that to the, as condition number 3 on construct the addition. So I'd like to, can I go back? Well, let's see, I'll go back to item 1 where we had 1 condition by staff, the second condition for a new site plan, and a third condition, 3, that the eve line on the north elevation be aligned.
The addition of the second floor.
With the addition on the second floor.
I can do that. That eve line may be affected by protruding more or further out so that it drops down. So my overhang is going to be more, which doesn't bother me. Do you understand?
I have to see the drawing. Yeah, I think I understand.
Yeah. Further down I go, the further down it goes this way, and then I can make that eve line match the other.
On the second floor.
There's a 612 trying to marry into
Yeah, I
an
understand.
812.
On the second floor, though, we're talking the eve line.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes.
Yep. The windows can be smaller just as long as the tops
Gotcha.
are aligning.
Can do it.
Adding to that elevation needs to be resubmitted to staff for approval.
Sure.
I think that's it.
Then in the divided lights, elimination of the divided lights. This is a complicated one.
That would be going back to item 5. Item 5, install French doors, side lights, and replace French doors. Where staff says they do not be specific, okay, so to add to the specific findings under items 4, 5, and 6, that no divided lights in the doors and the windows on the first floor.
Okay.
With the exception of reflective glass, then you would approve insulated glass tempered?
Yes, that would be approved.
Okay.
That's not a problem.
Okay.
That's,
Okay.
any questions on my motion?
Can anybody
Second.
second that? Did you second it?
I second it.
All right. Moved by Joe Meacham, seconded by Heather Clemmer. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, we approved something for you, too. So,
Very good.
be things to
I think
submit, and, yeah,
We got somewhere.
thank you.
Do I stay, is my...
Sure, stay up. Yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. HPCA 17-00211 at 1000 Northwest 38th Street, Crown Heights, Ward 2. Consideration and possible action on application of Aaron Taylor by Christina Forth for certificate of appropriateness to 2, remove vinyl siding and repair or replace siding beneath. Elective 3, construct second-story addition, attic expansion, above one-story rear addition of structure, and that's elective. And 4, replace sliding patio doors with French doors, elective. And the commission saw this last month as well. The applicant has proposed to replace the vinyl siding with wood lap siding throughout the structure, and did provide an additional setback for the dormer portion of the rear slope of the roof. I think the only remaining concern that was raised in the staff report was that there is a window proposed in the gable end of the historic roof that is forward of what the guidelines allow for new windows. Yes, that's on the west elevation.
We've designed around that, so if that's an issue, then you can put an X through it.
Okay. That would be specific finding number 3 under item 3. Any other? Can I make a motion? I think that they addressed all of the things that we talked about last time. Did you have?
This came last month, I wasn't here, so, like the first one. I think it looks okay.
Okay. I make a motion to approve HPCA 1700211. Item 3, with the specific findings, 1, 2, and 4. I guess eliminate item 3 and add number 5, that the proposed window in the west gable is to be eliminated from the plan. Oh, it's already conditioned. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, with the following condition. Oh, it's already in there. Item 4, with the specific findings as noted by staff in the staff report. Number 2, with the specific findings as noted by staff in the staff report and the conditions.
I think that remained from the previous meeting. I think now that they propose to just go back with lap siding, we can remove that condition.
No condition under item 2. That's it.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
All right, moved by Joe Meacham, seconded by, what's your name again?
Suzanne.
It's been a long day. Sorry about that. Suzanne Broadbent. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, you've been approved.
Thank you for your
Thank you.
time.
I was trying to figure out something on the plan.
HPCA 17-00215 has been continued. HPCA 17-00220 at 927 Northwest 16th, Mestic Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Greg McAllister for certificate of appropriateness to 1, add dormer to rear of house, elective; 2, add windows to rear of house, elective; 3, remove door at rear of house, elective; 4, install patio at rear of house, elective; 5, replace patio doors, elective; 6, construct two-car garage, elective; 7, install fence, elective; and 8, replace roof, elective.
Okay. And could you state your name? We know you are.
Greg McAllister, I'm the owner.
Okay. Got one suggestion. When you submit this, it'd be nice to see the existing and the proposed on kind of side by side, so we have to flip back and forth. But anyhow, so I'm trying to tell a difference, not much.
All right, there's a couple, there's patio doors that are aluminum with divided light that are obviously not original to the house that we're replacing with aluminum clad wood
On the
doors.
east?
That's on the, referring to the house, that's on the north elevation rear of the house. I guess talking about the house first, then maybe the garage. And then there's an add-on that we're adding additional windows to the add-on and removing a door that's on the add-on. I think the add-on was done maybe in the 90s, I think. And then there's the dormer that we're adding on the third floor. And that's not the right house.
flip chart. Okay.
Is there an existing floor plan? Need one?
There's existing elevations. I don't know that we showed a floor plan since, I think we actually did, but I don't know that it,
It's a third floor plan, and there's a roof plan.
Higher.
And there's a existing top elevation.
no, I think the only floor plan we showed was the third floor, adding the dormer.
Oh, I know my question. Is the height of the garage higher than any of the other neighbors' garages?
No. There's two-story garages behind it abutting that are both taller than it, because we didn't even do this one at a full two-story. This one was a two-story garage to begin with.
Uh-huh.
The original, and then, like I said, the abutting garages are two-story to the rear of it. And it's shorter than both of those.
Well, I need a little clarification. The Sanborn map report here indicates that it was a 1.5-story garage. Can you speak to
If you want to differentiate, yeah, that's fine. Which we're proposing a 1.5-story is what we're proposing, which that's what was there then. If you distinguish between the 1.5 and 2.
Katie, did you receive more documentation on any of your questions for the fence?
I didn't. I have it here. I actually had a picture of it. We're just putting the fence, like one of those angles had the fence running into the old garage. It's just putting that exact same fence back. We just took it down to demo, and there's different locations that it's going because of the garage. But
Yeah, I think all of that can either be
Right,
added
it's-
after the fact, or it can be a separate administrative approval.
right. And then there's something about the roof that I don't know that I understood why, like a composition, why the roof would not be a continuance on the roof was.
Says,
Yeah, it's the same, I've been here, it's the same shingle, the same documentation I've submitted the last 8 months on every project.
I am not entirely sure. Do we not have your roof documentation?
No, it's in the, find what page
Okay.
it's on.
We may just have overlooked it in
Yeah.
putting the staff report together.
See what page
Again,
it's-
both of those can be administratively approved, so.
It's one, let's see, sure the page numbering on here.
oh, okay, I know what you're,
I
staff,
think it's page 20 of 48.
staff had comments on the patio door versus, I guess, a single door at the top of the stairs on the garage, that would not be.
It is.
Yeah, so the first 5 items are all related to the house, and then 6 is the garage.
Right.
So I think 1 through 4 was fine, 5 there was fence and roof, and then 6 there were a few questions on that. And addressing, let's see, you're looking at,
First one would be the location of the garage. They're saying may not include appropriate setbacks.
right, I don't know what's inappropriate about it, I guess. We have it set, since it's an alleyway, we have it set back 7 foot, 7'6", something like that, which is the exact same setback of the garage on the corner. And at the same time, this particular garage will actually be entered from the alleyway, And so getting it off of the rear property line to be able to actually turn into it, which is also why it's a 16-foot door, which is what we've proposed on any of them that we've done off the alley to be able to make that turning radius instead of doing the two separate doors.
I think the concern with this is the same as the previous garage. It was more about code and whether or not they would be allowed to build it that close to the property line. That's my understanding.
Oh, the side.
Yes.
And we showed it.
You are 2 feet off the east property line.
Right, which
so
just
that's
requires
something that,
fire protection.
Yep.
Yeah. There's no windows on that side.
You don't have a dimension on the north, though. You said 7 foot.
Yeah, I did. That's one thing I did. Whenever I got the packet, I realized it wasn't on there and did send that last week.
Yep, it didn't make it into the attachments for the staff report, but I think we do have that, have a copy of that in the file.
There were questions on the, well, I already asked about the height, so are we good on the height? You're not,
Can somebody clarify something for me? This report says it's a 2-story garage that you're proposing, and you just said it was 1.5.
Well, I don't know what you distinguish, how y'all distinguish the two. So, I mean,
I would call this
like
a
if you have a
1.5.
certain plate height, you just pick. I mean, it has slope ceilings on the sides. It's not coming in at 3 foot.
I mean, I would say it would have been 2-story if you didn't need that gable to walk into it. Well, I don't know, if you had it turned the other way, then you
To
could
me,
walk into it.
1.5 is when the second story is built into the roof.
Right.
Here, municipal code actually does define 1.5 story, so
Okay.
Good. Before we all debate what we think it is, there is actually, and it has to do with half story, a space under a sloping roof which has the line of intersection of roof decking and wall face not more than 3 feet above the top floor level, and in which space not more than 2/3 of the floor area is finished off for use. A half story containing independent apartments or living quarters shall be counted as a full story.
So there is no such thing as a 1.5 story, basically. I mean, if you're going to finish anything, unless you want to show that you're only going to finish.
Well, it does say.
You could show it how you want, I guess, to make it read how you want it.
Yeah, I mean, you could finish it as
But there's no
storage.
plate height. Like it started referencing the inside, not how tall are the walls on the outside. I mean, there was some reference to that, but then it went away as soon as it referenced the interior.
Yeah.
But anyways, this was designed off of the existing garage, which had the similar gable rising in the middle of it. That was 16 by 32. What was there? Approximately the same plate height.
So what do they say
And-
about the height of the 3 feet for the,
Yep, basically 3 feet from the floor to where the roof intersects the wall.
yeah. So on your section on page 17, not that it really matters, is that 3 feet?
I mean, you basically would have to be below a 12-foot plate, is what we're saying.
Is that on the left side of page 17? What height is that on the second floor? Just curious, there's no dimension. Looks like it's about 3 feet. Page 17.
Well, just to give the page before, if it's a 14-foot plate height, you've got 8 foot in the garage and then 1 foot, so you're at about 5
9
feet.
and 14, so it's about
A
5.
little less than 5, probably, is
Yeah.
what you're going to end up with there.
So this doesn't meet a 1.5 story
So
definition.
it's two-story then,
It's 2-story. Plus, you're using all of the second floor. There's no,
which we would then define the existing garage as a 2-story and not a 1.5, which is what the Sanborn
I
said.
think the county assessor was, anything 5 feet and above, they count as square footage. I think so that will count all the square footage. 3 feet, I think that's the rule for the assessor, the county assessor, but anyhow, does that answer your question?
Help me here. Do we have a picture of the original garage in here? It was approved for demolition in December, but we're looking at, the replacement now. So,
What did it look like?
yeah.
I don't know.
I believe in the slides, there's that's the historic garage seen from the alley.
And the existing garage had a 16 by 32-foot imprint, or footprint.
Yeah. Totally
So
different.
to
this
put
one.
it back where it was at would be, I mean, one, it's on the property line right now, on the rear property line. And there is an existing in-ground pool in front of it. And So that's like the shift of the garage, not putting it back in the exact same location.
They're proposing a completely different design in a different location.
And like I said, you're not going to, I don't know that we would put a 16 by 32 foot garage back anywhere.
Yeah, I was just summarizing. It's completely different.
Well, just earlier today,
Uh-oh.
well, this is a gabled roof, replacing a hipped roof.
It's two-story.
That's got two gables on it. That roof right there, that one does there on the front and the back. It's hipped on the end. It has similar to, we basically took the structure of it, and because it won't fit that way, and turned it the other way and gabled the ends of it to give it more headroom. So we took what's east-west and turned it north-south and kept with the same characteristics of that garage. Just gabled the end for more headroom upstairs.
So it's a different design, different location.
So I guess part of the garage footprint overlaps, but it's not exactly where it was.
Well, the other one was in the north west corner of the yard, and this one's in the northeast corner of the yard. So
And it was 32 foot wide, and on the property, so it's
slightly
there
overlaps.
overlaps. Yeah.
So I say it's a completely different location, but not necessarily unapprovable, but just what it is.
Well, I do understand flipping, the garage and understanding the dimensions, I believe. But appears to me to be a totally different design. Seems pretty inconsistent with what we decided earlier today on the first item on the agenda. What am I missing?
Only, if he did that, then he'd have to go to a full two-story height in order to have the second floor be usable. I mean, I think that's part of his reasoning here. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, if we did ask for a hipped roof, then to get a door in the hipped roof, he would have to build it another 4 feet taller.
But the existing garage was one story, right?
No, it's two-story by the definition that we just read.
Oh, okay. The existing.
Right, and if I tried to keep it in the northwest corner, my point was, if you're going to access it from the rear, I can't build it on the property line and actually use it, and I can't shift it closer to the house, or I would be shifting it into a existing pool, and so
What's the dimensions of that
shifting it
existing
over,
garage?
and like I said, keeping it as much of the...
Oh, there it is. 16 by 32 is the original.
So in this case, you're really getting a shorter garage, but usable with the change of the
Right,
roof.
like it's a little wider to actually fit two cars in it, and it's shorter and a little bit wider, but it's keeping with the same.
It's quite a
it's
bit
keeping the
different.
same footprint.
16 by 32, and the new one is 20'5" by 25, completely different shape.
Right.
I'm not saying it's wrong, but just admit it's a completely different garage. It's not similar to the existing.
No, it's not similar.
And I guess I would argue, are we calling, are all accessory structures considered garages? Or like this was never a garage, and it was never intended to be a garage with the shape of it and how it was built, and it still had original sliding doors on it. There was never anything
used to be a barn, you think?
There was never a driveway back to it.
It says garage/barn.
It was marked on the earliest Sanborn we have of it, which I don't think you have a copy of. It had an X going through it, which indicates a stable.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we're replacing, so we never had a garage, we had a stable.
It was never used as a garage, even. Was it not used as a garage?
No, you couldn't, it's 16 foot deep with a staircase in it, so it's really 12 foot deep is what it was.
Yep. Okay, so that's one thing.
So, Katie, what does it mean in the Sanborn report when it says a large rectangular 1.5-story frame auto house? Is that language directly from the Sanborn report?
That is, hold on, let me find my place. I would imagine that subsequent Sanborn maps, when it maybe ceased to be used as a stable at some point, just started labeling it as an auto house.
So, in other words, to me, he's not trying to build a new garage in the place of an existing garage. It's a new garage, there's no existing garage. So it's a little different than,
I mean, similar
maybe
to
that's one way of getting around it, I don't know, but...
Similar to that, the next door to this property had I think it was a 12 by 18 structure that we went back with a 26 by 24 structure on the abutting property. Like it was, we could build back, to build back, it wasn't a garage to begin with. And that's, I guess, the way this one, the way I could look at this one as well.
Every case has to stand on its own. I see it on there, the one in the corner, yeah.
The one to the, can't see it from here, it's to the east of this one. The one to the west, I think there's a new garage that just...
That shows on our aerial photograph.
Approved a few months ago, maybe.
It was approved? Oh, no, access from the side, I remember that now, yep. Okay. Any more comments?
Is there some sort of condition that we want to attach to this?
Like, you mean unique circumstance?
I don't know. Either.
I like
It's either gotta be
stable.
to change the roof or unique circumstance, one of the two, I guess. Good staff. I mean, the only other thing in the garage I had was the patio doors on the second floor. That to me, it's not appropriate to have the double doors up there.
That's like a single door instead, and that would,
I mean, that,
fine.
is that what staff was referring to?
So just to a single, that's
To be a
not an
single
issue.
glass, but the
Yeah.
double, I think that,
Right, we can submit that typical a wood door with glass, showing glass in it. Is that administrative at that point, or that piece, or can it be? Or
Yeah, that could be just submitted to staff after the fact.
Right.
If that's a condition.
okay, well, there were still the three items on there with staff was height. I'm not clear why that was on there. Height. That's why I asked it, was it higher? He says it's lower than the other two, so it's not higher than the...
Yeah, I think we just
surrounding
didn't
height.
have any documentation telling us the height of either the historic garage or the heights of any surrounding garages to compare to.
Could you please include that? Heights of your
Of the
neighbor's
neighboring
garages.
Yeah.
And then do we ask for things other than modern treated wood balcony?
You know,
Do we ask
I
it-
think we don't typically see a balcony, period. I mean, we see exterior stairs, but not necessarily a balcony. So it was just the question of whether or not that
Oh.
was appropriate.
Because it was, I see.
Because it does extend out wider than,
Yeah, we made
The
it a
stairs.
little bit wider we just made the landing a little bit larger.
Well, I think that'd be, you're calling it a balcony, it's a landing.
Landing.
stair.
Yeah, it's got to exist.
It's a little
whether
deeper,
this-
to me it'd be functional because it allows you for moving things, to turn,
Right.
wouldn't be so narrow to, so, it's not so wide that it becomes like a deck or anything. How deep is that? It's like about
Is it-
5 feet. Page 18. So,
8 foot.
The depth is 5 feet.
I'm sorry, the depth, no, the depth is
5 feet.
5 feet, yeah.
The width is 8 feet.
Yeah.
The width is kind of not really required, the 8 feet, but for a landing. But
Width seems more like a deck width to me than a landing. The width seems more like a deck than a landing.
the width makes it a little more deckish.
Yes.
It is symmetrical on the elevation, though.
What's that?
We're talking about the landing slash balcony slash deck.
It just seems like we've approved a lot of different staircases and landings that wasn't just a landing. Maybe I'm wrong, but wider stairs would make for a bigger landing.
I personally think it's okay, but
It's what?
okay
It's okay?
to me, but not that big.
Did you have, it also says, let's see, lighting, did you submit your lighting fixtures?
I don't know if I emailed that or not. I brought, I mean,
And that can be in
Yeah,
after
it's
the
a
fact, submit
typical-
to staff. Yeah.
she just overlooked in the packet.
What about, okay, the fence and the sufficient documentation?
I would say on those, you could continue, and we can administratively approve it.
Okay.
Yeah, and the roof documentation was in there, it was just the fence wasn't, I guess. But yeah, however y'all need to handle it.
Okay. Any conditions? I make a motion to approve HPCA 1700220. Item 1 with the specific findings is noted by staff in the staff report. Item 2 and 3 with the specific findings as noted by the staff in the staff report. Item 4 with the specific finding as noted by the staff in the staff report. Item 5 with the specific findings as noted by the staff in the staff report. Continued, do I need to do a separate one to continue that item?
Yeah.
Okay, I'm going to skip.
Do we need to continue it, though, I guess?
You can still get it approved by staff.
Okay.
But we're not going to
Item
include it in the
constructing the
approval.
garage can still get approved by
But-
staff.
The fence and the roof, you can get approved by staff if we continue it. because-
Right.
Yep.
But the construction of the garage, I guess, is what I was asking about.
I'm not finished.
Okay. I thought you said item 6.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. Item 7 and 8, okay. And approve item 6 to construct the two-story garage. Let's see. With the agreed-upon conditions, let's see, with the specific findings that the proposed work with the agreed-upon conditions shall not have an adverse effect. The specific findings would be, I don't have any.
Just the door, the single door at the
So no
landing.
findings, just a condition.
Oh, sorry.
Have to have a finding that it's,
Well, if there's findings that have knots in them, and you could strike the knots.
okay. I'm just going to say that the findings, the design of the garage follows the guidelines, and with the condition that the patio doors be changed to a single door with the door to be approved by staff, and that the condition that lighting documentation be submitted for staff for approval.
Okay. Is there a second? Second. All right. Moved by Joe Meacham, second by George Massey. All in favor? Aye. Opposed?
Nay.
Okay. So all in favor? 1, 2, 3, 4. All opposed? 3. So no majority, right? What's majority? 5? How many take to pass it? Simple majority, okay, so it's
Okay.
4-3, okay. All right, you were passed by the skin of your teeth.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So then we just need a motion to continue
Oh, I'm
the
sorry.
fence and the roof. Sorry.
If I can make a motion for HPCA 17-00220, item,
7 and 8,
item 7 and 8 to
the April 4th.
to be continued to the April 4th meeting.
Second.
Okay, are we talking about the next agenda item?
No, that's his.
Oh, the other one,
7
okay,
and 8.
sorry.
I had to,
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that's passed. And that was made by Joe Meacham and seconded by George Massey.
Thank you.
5-minute break? Okay. We're going to take a 5-minute break. It is 4:18. So Okay, we're back. So, next case.
HPCA 18-00002 at 500 and 510 Northwest 21st Street, Mesta Park, Ward 6. Consideration and possible action on application of Jacqueline Fox Vintage View 2 LLC by Catherine Montgomery AIA, a Preservation and Design Studio, PLC, for certificate of appropriateness to, 1, install layer of new asphalt to driveway and parking lot elective.
Okay. All right, is the applicant present? Okay.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Fox. I'm the owner.
Okay. All right. Any comments on this? The asphalt. Staff recommends continuing. Do you have any comments?
No.
Okay.
I need your approval.
Any response to the staff's comments?
I'm Ken Onchman. I'm at 616 Northwest 21st Street.
Okay.
I'm with the Preservation and Design Studio, and I'm actually one of Jacqueline's tenants.
Okay.
So, some of the comments that the staff made, we're only proposing to put one layer of new asphalt down. The asphalt was put on before the current ownership, and that we have gone around the neighborhood and we have found a whole bunch of asphalt lots that have been put onto larger buildings, mainly the churches, schools, some businesses, and the larger apartment buildings normally that have more than 10 parking spaces in the lot.
Do you have, perhaps maybe, I mean, what they're speaking to is, one, that there was originally concrete?
At some time, there was concrete. Whether or not that was historical concrete or not, we don't know.
And that, two, there's concern that additional asphalt may continue to hide portions of the historic material and perhaps cause more water problems?
Well, the asphalt contractor is going to remove the edges of the existing asphalt, so that will bring it down. The other thing is, I believe in the staff report, there is a photo, not so much a historical photo, but from not that, it was in the packet that we received back that had older photos from 2005. If you look at the second photo, you can see to the right-hand side of the door is one of the window wells, and the concrete is almost to the level of the window well.
Uh-huh. I don't remember something like this coming before. So I've seen that, but I don't remember. I guess I'm struggling because I don't remember having an asphalt, proposal come before us before.
Do you know when the asphalt was first applied?
We believe it was in 2005. There was a single owner that had that owned the apartments for a single year. And
for how long? How long?
1 year.
1 year.
The assessor's site shows the sale in 2004, and then again assessor's sale in 2005, and then again in 2006 to Jacqueline. And Jacqueline, it was, like I said, it was applied before her ownership.
But applied after historic preservation for Mesta Park?
There's a lot of instances of that throughout the neighborhood, including Wilson School across the street.
Correct. Katie, when was 94? Is that Mesta Park?
Yes.
94.
And I provided staff with 13 instances of asphalt lots, including the Aberdeen, the Brighton up in Paseo. The St. Luke's Church has asphalt lots. The Gaylord Perry Museum has asphalt lots. And like I said, it seems to be that once the apartment is over a fourplex or something, you see a lot more instances, and I counted close to 50%
I can imagine.
that size of lots being asphalt.
See, I think it's somewhat frustrating for this owner in that there's no disclosure for a multifamily home. So if there was some kind of violation to code with the asphalt being put over concrete before she bought it and the other person, she would never have had the chance to know about that.
And that's something else that should be mentioned, is there has been no complaints or citations issued on this lot.
Katie, have we had very many of these come before the commission?
Not recently. We had, I think, a couple of years ago, another large apartment complex or apartment building in Jefferson Park that had a parking lot and wanted to put in asphalt, and the commission did require them to do concrete. I have not.
New asphalt, though, over concrete?
I do not recall what they had there, but we had no evidence that it had historically been asphalt, so they were required to go back with concrete.
Because this, in my opinion, I mean, I understand all that. This could almost be maintenance of existing, asphalt parking lot. It's not new, really. It's trying to correct a drainage problem.
I think because it was a total installation of...
More than 50%.
It was 100% of the parking
Yeah.
lot, more than 50%.
Yeah.
So we didn't feel that it could be
Yeah.
considered maintenance.
Right.
The difference in cost between a concrete lot of this size and an asphalt lot is $40,000. The estimates that we have gotten shows that to replace this lot as a concrete lot would be $60,000, and to put a new layer, bringing down the edges a little bit, would only cost $20,000.
In order to fix the drainage problems, do you have to replace
I think
new
we just
layer?
need some positive slope. And like I said, if a little bit of curbing towards the side, then I think that the water would flow away from the rest of the site. So,
But do you have to replace or overlay everything to fix the drainage problem?
yeah, because the main divot in the parking lot is right in the center of it.
So you said the main divot is in the center of the parking lot, and that just means that water accumulates in the center of the parking lot?
Well, yes, ma'am. Go ahead.
It's not part of the issue of not having adequate drainage up against the building. Am I understanding what
That
you're
is correct.
describing?
Now, topographically, we are at the bottom of everything. If you stand at the corner of Walker and 21st Street, you can look at all four directions, and everything slopes up from where we're at. Now, the drainage continues north and west from where we're at into the Wilson Playground, but really, you get some of these really heavy rains, and it's all up over the curbs and everything, and into our parking lots and everything.
So in answer to the chair's question, you just don't see that you can do a less than 50% fix here, which would make it, if I'm correct in my understanding, it would make it just, maintenance.
We could go in with that painted bituminous layer that would last about 5 years. So, they go in and they paint the asphalt onto the existing asphalt, basically.
That wouldn't change the drainage, though.
No, it wouldn't. So,
Yeah, my question is, can you fix the drainage problem with a 50%?
I believe the answer is yes. Like I said, I believe that we could slope up the asphalt a little bit towards the buildings to cause the drainage to go to the center and out the driveway.
Well, it seems to me like in good conscience, that's about all we can let you do without requiring concrete, as I understand the guidelines and what we've done in the past.
If you only affect half of the asphalt, less than half, it'd be maintenance. But I don't know if it worked, though. I don't know how that would work.
Otherwise, a complete application of asphalt is prohibited by the regulations.
And I think that's the reason why we're here, is because it's believed that if we go in with a layer of asphalt that is going to slope up and then drain out the middle, that is enough to be not maintenance.
If it's more than the amount allowed for maintenance, it's not permitted.
So are you asking for more than 50% to be done? Are you asking to touch more than 50% of it? You came in with 100%, that's what you're saying.
You want to replace it all?
If we go 50%, they're basically saying if we go 50%, it's maintenance and it's no longer an issue. Is that my understanding?
I think that's where we're headed.
I'm sorry, what is that question? I couldn't hear.
If they're replacing less than 50% of the parking lot, then that's considered ordinary maintenance and repair, and they can go back with the same material, and it doesn't require review. When it exceeds 50%, then it requires review, which triggers the requirement that they go back with concrete.
But technically, I don't know if that would work, but that's the requirement. Technically, just replace 49%.
So you're saying we got to do it at 49.99%?
Yeah, 49.99.
Very good.
I don't know if it'd work, though. I guess you could raise the parking. You're trying to get the drain out to the street, right?
Yes.
You could replace that part, raise it up such that it would drain out towards the street. I'm not designing it, but
no,
I'm just trying to think. I don't know if it'd work.
That if we just did the parking areas and then
It's my feeling, due to lack of disclosures on any kind of multifamily property, and that there was never any other citations on this property, I don't think it's fair to ask her to ever take it back to concrete in the first place, in my opinion.
You think what?
I think it would be unfair to ask her to remove all the asphalt to go back to concrete. Doesn't seem
That
fair.
can be dangerous, George,
Why is that?
because then people could do things to their property and then sell them, and then people would say, nobody told me that, so I can,
Oh, absolutely.
Well, of course, it's her responsibility to be in regard of the former violation because she's now the owner. I'm just saying, in my opinion, it doesn't seem fair to ask somebody to do that on a multifamily property that has no citations in the past and no disclosure for multifamily.
Well, any property.
We're not
Be the
necessarily
same situation,
fair.
really.
We follow the guidelines.
Well, and the issue is, what's not fair to her, the reason we have ordinances is to try to treat everyone fairly. In this particular case, no, it may not necessarily be fair, but if we are to hold by the ordinance, this is one of those ordinances that is it's not shall, it is should. It was intentionally rigid to make a point that asphalt shouldn't be used. It was used in this particular case, and that's not fair to her. But as Mary Jo just said, in saying that, well, if you don't disclose, then that person can do whatever they want, well, then we've created unfairness throughout the historic neighborhoods.
I agree. I'm just saying I hope you're not going to require me to like what this is.
And that's
I have an opinion, I'm going to state it.
And I think that's what the reason was that we went and looked at other parking lots, and it's like, yes, there could be CAs on there might not be, but it seems like if you come and ask, you're going to be held to the stricter guideline. If you don't ask, then it doesn't seem to be enforced, or the complaints don't seem to come up.
This is true.
I would ask for a CA to denote every CA on every other asphalt driveway in historic preservation.
So would you like to make a proposal to
Or
put
maybe,
the work below 50%? Or
I
is
was
that not?
going to suggest that what we could do is continue it.
Yep.
You can evaluate if you can do it at less than 50%. And if so, then
The
item
project goes
withdrawn
away.
and it's ordinary maintenance and repair. If not, then we'll,
So the asphalt's going to mess up with the other plans. Well, like I said, I think what we want to do is see how you guys feel about the 100%, and then if,
I believe that we're in agreement that the 100% is not permitted.
very good, then I think we're going to withdraw and try to do it at 50%.
withdraw or just continue?
Let's go ahead and continue,
Okay,
and we will continue, ask for a 2-month continuance.
okay. Want to make a motion?
Make a motion to continue HPCA 18-00002 to the April 4th meeting.
Second?
Okay, it's been moved by Joe Meacham and Suzanne, right? Second by Suzanne Broadbent. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, continued. Thank you.
Thank you much, all.
Thank you. All right.
the next item has already been continued, so we'll go to the final item for individual consideration, HPCA 18-00004 at 628 Northwest 21st Street, Mesta Park, Ward 6, consideration and possible action on application of Jimmy Ownby by Sam Gresham of Sam Gresham Architects for certificate of appropriateness to 1, construct house elective, 2, construct garage elective, 3, install sidewalks and driveways elective, 4, install fence elective, and 5, clear existing site, including fencing and paving elective.
Still
Sam
no
Gresham
rendering.
here to represent the owners.
Still no rendering, Sam. What's the matter?
Pardon me?
There is
No
a
rendering.
rendering. There's a rendering.
Oh, it's there.
Is there?
It's just not one of mine. It's,
Oh, that's okay. That didn't look like your style. Wow.
those are easy to change.
Huh. I thought that was a photograph. Okay.
Our proposal is to build, obviously, a new house on a lot that currently is a parking lot. I didn't realize it had, and Katie has shown us, a Sanborn maps with a building that had been there. Although there's, we looked for a live and usable water meter, there isn't anything there that we can detect. The purpose of our, obviously, is to build this house, but I'm looking at the neighborhood. We've built a one-story house to match our surrounding nearest neighbors. The application, I don't quite know what to say about this. There's a few items here mentioned. I'm sure that there was some responses that I gave to Katie during the application process that might have confused some of these. Among them was height of the garage, things like that. But anyway, I'd be happy to answer any questions if you had anything you wanted to discuss.
I think
Sort of
it
pointless
looks
talking about it.
I think it looks pretty good, personally. From one architect, the other architect is in agreement. Any comments?
Did you change the height of the garage?
No, the floor plan says it's a 10-foot top of wall. There are 9-foot top of walls. So garage height is, with an 812 pitch, it's not that tall. But there's been a series of plans that I've submitted. Katie would give me a comment, and I would respond with a change in the plan. So I don't know. Is that tall, 9 feet, top of wall for the
No,
garage?
I don't think so. I think that may have been just
A leftover?
changes that came in later and
Yeah,
that
yeah.
part didn't get updated. I mean, it's some of our historic garages that have no stem wall and that sort of thing are, 13, 14 feet tall total.
Oh, I see.
I don't think you're way out of range.
Okay.
We were talking about the height of the garage?
Well, it was one of the comments made on staff report as a specific finding. And the height in the plan view says it's 10 feet.
Right.
The elevations have been changed to 9 feet.
It says 9 foot 1 and 1/8, so.
Pardon me?
The top of the wall?
Top of the wall is
9 foot 1 and 1/8,
Right.
so I think that's probably it.
Sam, on the side, those are technically dormers, is that what you call those?
The side gables?
Yeah.
Actually, they're just gables. I mean, to take a relatively long, unadorned side and break it up. They're gables, just gable ends. There's no second floor. The windows in the top are decorative.
So what do you
They're
call
gable ends.
these? What do you call these?
They're just gables, side-facing gable ends. So it's a one-story house. The windows in the gable ends are all into the attic space. There's nothing up there. So.
I like the way it corresponds with the garage. I think that's pretty nice.
Thanks.
I like that.
Okay.
Does the garage open onto an existing curb cut that was there?
No, it doesn't. And we're going to have to put it into a curb cut. There's one there. We have to remove that, and it moves back.
Okay.
So.
Katie, I'm looking at the specific findings under the continue. Do I need to change any of those if I make a motion to approve? Are those just statements or, I mean, there's...
Well, I think if everyone feels that the height of the garage is appropriate, you could just leave off number 7.
Based on the elevation of the garage, not the plan.
Okay.
And then, I mean, number 6 can either could remain as an observation, or if you don't agree, you could strike that, or provide some additional finding for why that's appropriate at a new construction.
I've measured that house. We have a 18-inch top of, our finished floor is 18 inches above grade. The house directly west of us, which I guess is the nearest neighbor, has a 4-foot porch. It's 4 feet off the ground. Then you measure the height of the house. They're all higher. The finished floor elevations are all higher. We're actually pouring on a slab. They're all joist floors. So they're quite tall as compared to ours. On average, tall.
Well, that would be, so how much of the foundation is going to show?
You'll see about 16 inches or so.
Okay.
It's a brick. We have a brick
How
slab
many
cantilevers
steps?
over, and pardon me?
How many steps to the front?
Well, I think that's just 3, isn't it?
3.
Looks like 3 on the rendering, and the elevation shows 3.
Okay.
I guess, and then number 5 was also the one other issue that staff raised, was just that the length of the house is longer than appeared to be typical. So again, if you
okay,
however you wanted to address that.
As compared to Sunbeam home next door, we're quite small.
Yes.
Right.
So-
Well, yes, as we were working on this, I felt like Sunbeam gave you quite a bit of wiggle room on the massing of the house.
Right.
It'll be hard for it to look oversized next to.
right. Okay, I make a motion to approve HPCA 180004 with specific findings as noted by staff, including number 1, 2, 3, and 4.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Moved by Joe Meacham, second by Ann Zachrowitz. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, been approved.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. All right. Well, that concludes our case of individual consideration, and now we're on to other business. Katie?
Under other business, we have Freedom Center at 2609 North Martin Luther King Avenue. Consideration and possible action to initiate a proposal for designation of the Freedom Center as a historic landmark, HL overlay. So the commission heard a informal presentation from a citizen at the actually November meeting under citizens to be heard, about the Freedom Center, calling everyone's attention to the property. Commission asked Mr. Washington to come back in December and give a more formal presentation about the building and its significance. So following that, the Commission asked that we put an agenda item on at a future meeting to consider initiating the process to designate it as a landmark. Our designation process is 2 steps. The first is to vote to initiate the process, which instructs staff to prepare a staff report outlining the history and significance of the building and why it may meet criteria for designation. The second step is to vote to recommend designation on to Planning Commission and City Council. So before you today is to consider initiating that proposal for designation.
Can I ask a question about initiating? Does it require the request or approval of the owner of the property?
This step does not require any kind of authorization from property owners. We've typically pursued historic landmark designation in cooperation with property owners, but it doesn't require the submittal of an application by a property owner or any sort of formal authorization.
Okay.
Katie, could you refresh us on the ownership? I saw that other, and I don't remember who it was, the ownership of this building.
Oh, well, you did get, you mean the typo in my staff report?
Yeah,
Yeah, so I used the template from, I used an old staff report as a template to prepare this staff report and included the owner from the milk bottle building as the owner, which we designated as a landmark. She called me and said, what is this? Because we mailed it to her.
Right, I was wondering about that.
So that's just my own typo. Notices were sent to the correct
people.
to the people on record with the Oklahoma County as, you know, who the addresses that they list for the property owner. So the owner is listed with the county as Freedom Center Incorporated.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are there any comments on this?
So have we heard from the owner? The representative of the owner?
So the county simply lists Freedom Center Incorporated with the address given as the address of the building, even though, as far as I know, the building's not really occupied right now. It also lists, so on the county you'll see commercial or other types of use, and then you'll see personal property. So within the same parcel is a barber shop, and it lists the owner for that property as well. And we have included that owner on all of our notices just to cover all of those bases. Mr. Washington had approached the commission as just as a representative. I'm sorry? Yes, come on up.
Yeah, come on,
Yeah.
and if you would, sign in.
Yes.
Yes, okay.
Yeah, and state your name.
Michael Washington, 2900 Northeast 18th Street, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma.
Could you clear up the ownership issue?
Yes, again, the late great Clara Lupa, before she passed, she ensured that the community property would stay in the community, rather than say it's my daughters, my friends, or my puppy. It's the Freedom Center Incorporated's property, which in turn are the actual incorporators ourselves who donated monies so that the Freedom Center can be built. That's why she said owner of the Freedom Center is Freedom Center Incorporated. That means a community of people who in turn are responsible for preserving it, which I happen to be one in my group doing something about it.
So is there a I'm not familiar with the organization, is there a board or a member?
Yes, it is. Empower People Incorporated through the Freedom Center Incorporated through Empower People Incorporated. We, due to our incorporated status, we have already incorporated through the Secretary of State as well. It's on documented proof that our organization is right now taking steps to preserve the Freedom Center and reopen it so they can be for education purposes for the community. I have also initiated myself as the president. It's on registered paperwork and also registered agent. So everything is definitely properly before this commission today.
The reason why we're asking is we heard there was some comment, newspaper article or something about who was the agent. So we don't want to start something until we kind of work through, clarify all that.
Well, I mean, it's already there, there's nothing to be clear. I mean, who else is here but us?
Yeah, true.
Well, could we have the paperwork on that? So, like, for instance, if you were going to, if you were going to have to, we'll just use sell the building, you're not going to sell the building, but if you were going to sell the building, obviously there has to be a group of people that would be responsible and would have names and addresses and that kind of thing. So that would be helpful, because it would seem like we would want to notify all of the people on your board.
Well, you hit three. Only one here is, all of us is here except one, and that is because he's incapacitated at the nursing home. But we do everything we do. He does sign off, whatever we don't do anything without it. Right now, he just had a stroke. And
So do y'all have, a schedule of meetings or minutes or that kind of thing?
Right now, yes, we do have. I have all of that, and I can don't have it right now because we have to do some right. This is our secretary here. However, we have. You had a piece of paper, that board of directors.
Right.
We have everything already written up for you. We knew this was prepared for.
Right.
And then I also wanted to give you, like you said, the paperwork where I've gone down and designated through the Secretary of State as a representative and president, which is recognized and stamped approved by the Secretary of State.
Yeah, I would like to have that submitted.
Okay.
But my question was, I guess the first one was, we can begin the process without the owner while we're clearing this up, or we could continue this until we do. So that's two ways of going forward.
It should be clear, like I said, I have the paperwork here, and we're the only ones here.
Yeah.
Watch, we have to wait, and you gave the notification, as she said.
Understand.
Evidently, nobody was interested.
Yeah.
He's here for
If you
the...
would like to speak, come on up and
Okay.
state your name.
My name is Garland Pruitt, and just as you all are trying to get a clarification, there is another board other than Michael's board that has rights supposedly to the exact same property, and there are members that are alive. I've spoken with one of the board members, Anthony Douglas, and that supposedly, just as he has papers or whatever, there are others that says that. And so it's an issue. But I'm here to speak on behalf of it becoming a historical event, location. That's what I came out for. And so I support it, endorse it, recommend it, and I think that it's overdue and put in place, and you all have the power and the influence to make those things happen, and that's what I'm here in total support of it becoming a historical location.
I think we're in agreement. We're just trying to, to work through this ownership issue.
Ann?
Well, I like what you said when you made the comment that it wasn't necessary for the property owners themselves for this to take place, so
that's why I asked that question.
promote support that you all continue to do the things that it takes to make that happen until we resolve the other issue.
Right. Now, at the end, correct, Katie, when it goes to the city council, we would have to have, the owner has to agree to it.
If the owner objects, then city council has to have a supermajority to change the property's zoning. They ultimately can. That's kind of the whole point of the powers that come along with zoning, is that the city is going to make decisions on behalf of, the greater good of the public. It would, with things like this, it would, I think, be very unlikely that they would adopt a designation like this with an objection from an individual property owner.
So how long does the process take to
So
go through things?
from the point that the commission initiates this process, we have 90 days to bring it back before the commission for a recommendation, and then it says that I think it's supposed to get through the process within 180 days, something like that.
Would you be able to somehow get together and work this issue out in 90 days?
Yes.
I don't see there being an issue. Notice was given, and anybody had a problem to be here. So obviously somebody doesn't feel that they have an argument about what we're doing. We came. Why should we be held back because somebody say, oh, well, I'm going to eat my potato chips today and forget it?
The fact they didn't show up doesn't mean they don't have a legal...
Yeah, well, so again, I produced my proof, but they haven't produced theirs. So if that were the case, then every time we stepped up here at any podium or Burger King, I can just say it was mine. You've given them notice. That's just like we was going to sell a home. And you say, well, we got 30 days here. If anybody don't come claiming, we're going to sell it. And you can't come and say, well, later on, I'm going to sell it. I mean, the notice was given to these people. We are registered agents, and I have mine stamped approved by the Secretary of State on that desk there, sir. I mean, it shouldn't be in the squabble indication because Secretary of State is simply not going to stamp something being approved and saying I can do something and can't. I mean, they know about the laws.
I understand. Who is the other group that you've mentioned?
I don't know.
One of them is the state president of the NAACP.
Where's he at?
His name is Anthony Douglas. I received a notice also. On the notice it said appear in person at the hearing or have a representative speak out on your behalf. And so I got the notice and I showed up, and I'm here, like I said, I'm promoting, supporting, endorsing the historical event, land being done. And as far as all the other controversy, that'll have to be resolved as we move forward, as far as I'm concerned. I don't have the details for that. I think that would be the decision of the
Can I ask you what legally
council.
what you think our best procedure?
I think ultimately it's a policy call whether or not the Historic Preservation Commission wants to take on something when it's ambiguous, whether or not the property, if there's any kind of dispute relating to the ownership of the property. The Historic Preservation Commission has the authority to initiate this process on its own, regardless of how the property owner may feel. But I think it's a policy call whether or not they want to proceed with that issue still being unresolved.
I'm uncomfortable proceeding without knowing that we have the consent of the ownership, without knowing who the ownership is. And I'm looking at the Secretary of State's website. There's been a very recent change of registered agent to Anthony R. Douglas. I just think there's too much ambiguity for us to proceed today.
Let me say again.
So we can continue for 2 months.
Oh, come on. That doesn't make sense to me. Again, sir, first of all, regardless, according to the paperwork which this fellow just stated, regardless, it's not about who owns anything. Since it says Freedom Center Incorporated, the community obviously wants this to be done. To the initial stage, again, it doesn't require who owns it. Well, now, even as a matter of fact, the owner shouldn't have a problem with us preserving this historical landmark, even if he were the owner of it. This is just, it's not a statute about who owns and who doesn't. This is not a requirement for this to be passed. We've been held up long enough, and sir, let me make one thing clear. For 8 years now, I've laid back and tried to give the so-called leadership an opportunity to preserve and do something for the African-American community, a building and landmark that our children want to go back in and preserve again. We can't do this with this continue delay, and we got people who already know what's going on decide, well, I'm not going to show up, and you have people ourselves laying there to get this process started so that we can move forward. I have documentation. This guy has documentation. That's not the argument today. The argument is to get it together so that y'all, and then, like you said, maybe when the step comes, the city council, well, who owns this? Well, we better stop before we approve it. I can see maybe that step being taken. But for us to be held up now, that was the purpose for today. You know, we were held up last time. This fellow said, hey, we want to make sure we get this thing straight so that to be within legal ramifications. And I said, okay, well, ma'am, that sounds good. Okay, and she assured us it didn't come down to whether it was who owned it and all that. It came down to the fact that we all were going to vote it so that we could get the process started. That has nothing to do with whether who's here, who owned it. I mean, John or Susie. That doesn't matter because it is community property, as you just read from the county assessor's office. It's community, so that means he don't own it, nor do I. I'm simply a representative of what's already here. He doesn't own it, sir. That's what I'm trying to tell you. He doesn't own anything. I own it, you own it, she owns it, he owns it, she owns it. Did you not hear me? It's not a black thing. It's not a white thing. It's not a purple thing. The community owns it. Freedom Center, not John Douglas on it, not Michael Washington on it. Michael Washington is representing simply one part of it. Now, he can be a representative if he wants to, but he needs to come down and say something.
Mr. Washington, you said something about 8 years. You've been held up 8 years.
Yes,
Tell me what has been going on for the last 8 years.
Thank you, ma'am. Again, the Freedom Center, unfortunately, ma'am, for the most part, due to 1 year before the unfortunate demise of Mother Clara Luper, it had been closed since 2010. Me, myself, I sat back. I said, well, the leadership, they're going to try and do what they can to preserve and reopen it. So after 8 years, I said, I got to begin, and I'm asking questions. Hey, man, what are y'all going to do? Anthony Douglas, what's wrong with everybody, calls the NAACP title and different other, known groups. What are y'all going to do? It's been dead for 8 years. I said, oh, no, man, if y'all not going to do something, I'm going to do something. Now, Michael Washington.
Let me ask some clarification. The leadership meaning the NAACP?
NAACP, church leaders, youth council, whoever, in other words, leadership, black community leaders. Okay, so, I mean, here's my group, we sat down, we've gone to them, we said, okay, y'all, we need to do something, because I'm driving by every day and seeing this building look like it's about to tumble in with this historical significance as the civil rights movement itself, the cornerstone. I said, oh, no, man, y'all, we need to do something about this here. So, excuse me, sir, excuse me, I'm speaking just a minute. So, in the most part, so from 2010 up until last year, I decided to come down to you people, not the leadership who already knew this should have been done, okay, and could have easily gavel people together and say, okay, y'all, we need to do funds or whatever. And not only this, are you ready for this? It's back held up in taxes, which I'm ready to provide. That's what I'm trying to tell you. We don't need to continue to be held because somebody wanted to sit back and lay around, sir. We have children who need to be educated. We have a community of elders who need to be educated, a spot to where they can come in, sit down, drink their coffee, and feel that they can be educated about the great pioneers and civil rights struggles and things that's going on.
We totally...
that's what she asked me about. That's what she asked me about. That's what I'm telling you.
We agree with your intent. We're just trying to...
It has nothing to do with ownership, sir.
With the correct process to go about doing this, because eventually it goes to the city council, and
right.
all these things have to be resolved.
That's right.
So, I guess the question is, initiate, and we have 90 days to work through this, or continue it until it's resolved.
What's
Those are
resolved?
the two choices.
What are we resolving here? I'm trying to figure, what are we resolving? You have no authority to resolve who ownership or anything.
The ownership is, what's the name of the, Freedom Center, Inc.?
That's right.
Yeah, and
Freedom Center, Inc., that's the owner. The question is, who speaks for the owner?
Okay, that's the owner. I am the owner. You're the owner, sir. You didn't hear me.
You've got the paperwork that says you're the agent, but apparently there's, according to the Secretary of State, it's not correct.
According to the Secretary of State, Mr. Douglas is the registered agent as of January 17th this year.
January 17th of this year.
And tomorrow I will be. That's how it works. You understand what I'm saying?
Apparently it's whoever shows up, right?
Do you have a
about right. But sir, let me tell y'all something. He's just standing in the way, sir, after 8 years. Now Michael Washington stepped up. Oh, no, I don't want you. I'm going to interfere. Look at that. That's just frivolous. Instead of coming to me,
Would you like to say something? You're standing up. Come to the microphone. Come to the microphone, please. And what's your name?
My name is Keely, and I'm the caregiver for Clara Looper.
Oh.
And little to say that when you don't know about your history, and when you see someone keep coming to be a part of the family funeral services, and then as I get older, and now I'm working in the medical field, and I sit at her feet to honor her and said how much it's a privilege. And I said, but as a little girl, you was always there at the family funerals. And I said, and I was just told we were related. So she asked me, she said, what is your grandfather's name? And I told her my grandfather's name. And she sat back and she said, I said, what's funny? She said, well, your grandfather's mother and my mother were sisters. So when I go to say, because I had a literacy problem, even though I worked for the federal judge, Luther Bohannon, sitting with them and them educating me, and I told her, why me? She said, I was to carry it on. Why me? She said, why not you? I said, I didn't go to college. I didn't have a degree. But she said, you got my blood in you. You can do it. So this is something that I kept within myself, because out of all of my siblings and friends that I knew had gone to college and got big degrees, but yet no one knew who I took care of other people. And I sat under the education of the federal judge, Luther Bohannon, and Port Williams, which is my uncle as well, who was a civil rights movement. I took care of him and my aunt. So I sat with them and learned. So I felt that it was a very big burden for me. And as I met Brother Washington, and I went around trying to figure out what could I do to help, because I had people wanting to be a part to help. But I had to make sure everything was in line before I could just go and explain my story. His story matched with my story. I was there every day passing out flyers, trying to figure out who to talk to. This is the gentleman that led me the way, that my story lined up with his. And I just thank God, and that's how I was able to keep my word with Judge Luther Bohannon and Clara Looper and my Uncle Portwood. So, you know, they always said, you got to have a story. What's your story? My story, your story, our story. And my story is at the downtown library when they called and asked for an interview about my life, what it's like growing up with Kanye West and the rest of my family. So, thank you.
Oh, thank you. Did you say you're also an officer with Freedom Center, Inc.? Did that what you said, Michael?
Oh, yes, sir.
Is
She is that's what I'm trying to say, sir. We put the board together, this fictitious board. Okay. My right hand, and I hope this feeling falls on me. There's such a thing as another board out there. Because they've never met. As a matter of fact, folks at the Secretary of State, you see only our out there. So that's all I say. Sitting around and holding up don't make sense to you.
My statement was, when you said the Inc., when you say it's the community, when they do have a board, they still have a board, whether they've met or not at this point, as far as the knowledge that I have concerning them. And I think they have 2 or 3 of the board members are still alive at this time, in addition to what the name that you had on there. So my question would be, have you met with Anthony Douglas in order to try to resolve this?
I have met, sir.
And the reason I asked the question was because it sounds as though those things need to be resolved as we move forward. And it sounds as though we're all on the right track as far as trying to restore, allow that to be an historical landmark. So I think we're on the right page as far as trying to make that happen. But how we get there, that's going to be another story.
That's kind of the question. So,
And I certainly don't disagree. I support the designation of the historic landmark, but there are certain corporate formalities that need to be followed. One, a corporation, for-profit or not-for-profit, has to have a board of directors. The board.
We're looking at ours, ma'am. Where's my paperwork? Did you not see my paperwork here? Here's mine here. I don't know about the rest of them. You see that there?
And would be a corporate resolution that would.
And finish, please, yeah.
The corporation acts through its board of directors. The corporation's board of directors can designate someone to act on its behalf through such a thing as a corporate resolution. Just saying that you're the authorized person doesn't convey that you actually are.
This paperwork does, ma'am, according to the articles of Constitution and bylaws for profits and non-profits, ma'am, you're talking to Title 18, you're talking to a guy that does law. And this is all required. You, not saying no disrespect, you, Secretary of State, no one has anything to do with this as long as this paperwork follows the guidelines, which it says on the board of directors, listing their name, attach it to the Secretary of State, ma'am. That is legal, authenticated documentation. And it says right here, if I may read, to Mr. Dave Lopez, Secretary of State, Oklahoma County, January 22nd, 2018, we made sure that this guy here was out in our way. From Michael C. Washington, Chairman of the Board of Directors, Freedom Center Incorporated, is stamped approved. Board of Directors, Freedom Center Incorporated. This will serve as notice that the following persons are the Board of Directors and official representatives of the Freedom Center, Inc., located at 2609 North Martin Luther King Avenue, Oklahoma City, Oklahoma 73111. And they are Michael C. Washington, Board Chair, Keely Smith Payne, Vice Chair, Delisa Gardner, Secretary, Billy Payne, Sergeant at Arms, Kevin Looper, son of late Clara Looper, as a member. And also, ma'am, now if you go look at those documents there, you can't just fanciful say I'm a board director and then nothing shows you. Come on now, let's use our brains here. Oh, I'm a board too and I don't have any documentation. It don't work like that. Not you now. I'm saying the other guy that you're speaking about. He's just an imposter trying to prevent us because he don't want me to make him look bad as the state president of the NAACP. As the state president of the NAACP, all these years laid back, it's going to make him look bad that a nobody jump out of the unseen who stepped forward and doing something with the Freedom Center, ma'am. Again, you have no authority nor this board to say that I'm not the president or resident, regardless of what evidence you feel that there's an argument. That's not for you to decide because you are not the decision makers. Our point here right today is for us to get this process started so we can preserve this center. The longer we hold up, the more likely this building's going to fall down unnecessarily, ma'am, because we have somebody who wants to say, I want to be up here. And y'all gave him time. This man is not a part of that board. He can't speak for them. Hello. I don't care what board. He can say that he's Jesus Christ on the board. No disrespect to him. But if you don't have the people there, you don't have the people there, I can't just come up and say I'll represent you when I'm not on your board.
We understand. Commissioner Broadbent would like to.
Well, nobody is making the determination that you are not the official representative, but we don't have the documentation to say that you are. We have what you just read was your statement that you are.
And it's filed with Secretary of State?
I'm talking. We've listened to you.
Okay, go ahead.
I need you to let me talk. And so we have other people who are saying that they have some claim here.
I'm not saying that.
Talking. Now, this Freedom Center, Inc. had a board of directors whenever it was formed. And then the power flows from that board, and if it's been replaced, that board essentially has to do it. And we don't have any documentation that that board has done it.
Ma'am, let me tell you this. There's no board, no such board.
Well, I understand, but that
all the members are dead, ma'am.
excuse me. That may be the case, but that is for a court to figure out, not this body.
Ma'am.
No, I'm a lawyer, and I kind of halfway know what I'm talking about.
Well, me too.
So I understand, but I'm trying to tell you where we're coming from.
Okay.
So we're being presented with arguments, and
It's one-sided argument on ours.
and we understand the historic nature and the need to preserve this property, or need to look into that possibility. But our concern is that we have differing parties making claims to it.
It's all my claim, ma'am.
No, it is not. It has not been adjudicated. It's Freedom Center, Inc. And we don't have any documentation that you have authority to speak on behalf of Freedom Center, Inc. No, we don't. We have documentation that you say you have authority to speak, but that's not legally binding. It's not legally binding, and you know that.
Miss Broadbent, Miss Suzanne Broadbent.
Yes, sir.
Again, you talked to a certified paralegal, ma'am. And let me tell you something. Hold up now. You, Secretary of State, or no one has anything to do with my private affair as an entity. You are nobody, ma'am. According to not only the rules of Secretary of State, but my right to privacy and corporations, it would have said Miss Susie Broadbent is here on this, okay? Lawyer, judge, whoever you are, I don't have to give it because I'm not squabbling about who's over. This man is not over, nor am I, ma'am. Let's read the document. I'm one you can't confuse. He's saying he's a representative of it. I'm saying I'm a representative. That don't mean we're saying it belongs and owns to us. Let's read the documentation, ma'am. You can't confuse this one. The point of the matter here is, okay, let's say he is saying he's representative. I'll say I am. What does that have to do with Freedom Center Incorporated owning it? We don't own it. You're not hearing me? So regardless whether there's a dispute of who owns it or who doesn't, that even in the argument. Because the point of the matter is this Freedom Center, Inc., not Michael Washington. So Freedom Center, Inc. is the community. We're the ones that put our money in it and made it happen.
Freedom Center, Inc. is a corporation.
And it's a person.
No, sir. It's a corporation.
Oh, ma'am, lawyer, will you tell us something? It's a person.
Under the law, corporations are persons, but that has nothing to do with the issue here. That has nothing to do with the issue here. The issue is the Freedom Center, Inc. is listed as the owner. There's a dispute about that, and we can't adjudicate that.
No, sir, we asked you to adjudicate. We asked you for for preserving the Freedom Center.
And our policy decision is whether we think it's going to be helpful to the issue at hand here, which is ownership and whether this building location can become a historic landmark. And so we have to figure out what's the best course.
Ma'am, it's not up for you to decide ownership. She just told you that. It's not for you to decide ownership. Ma'am, you can't confuse it.
And we are not deciding ownership.
Yes, you go. You just told me, whether we decide who's owner or not, ma'am, that shouldn't have anything to do with that. You're leaping into a bounded area that you have no authority to. Well, you don't come and say, well, this is mine or John's.
We're leaving it to you and the other parties to work it out, to take it to a court.
Yeah, we're not going to have to take anything to court because we're not squabbling. Ma'am, you're not hearing me. We're not squabbling about who owns it. You're not hearing me. We're talking about preserving it. And the judge doesn't own it. He's not saying he owned it, nor am I saying you're not, ma'am. I'm not saying he owned it, and he's not saying.
But eventually, this will have to be figured out.
Ma'am, eventually it's not for you to decide, though. It's not for you to decide the eventuality of it. You have to understand this, ma'am. You are here to preserve a place that we want as a historical landmark, and then we ourselves, if it becomes a problem, as the 3 steps that this lady just talked about, we are the ones to determine. Ma'am, you can't come in and interfere with what we do privately. That's not your business. The point of the matter that we're here today is to decide whether this Freedom Center can be designated. Now, once that's designated, now I can see the city council maybe having a squabble with it, but not with you. The initial phase is to get it started.
Okay, here's the deal, as I see it. The city council depends on us to have an orderly process before it gets to them, and they do not want this squabble to land in their backyard.
What?
The city council wants to be able to look at the merits of the Freedom Center landmark designation as it's presented by us, and we have to figure out the best way to do that. And at this point, with the ownership,
Man, the ownership is not no squabble about ownership. They even just said it. What are you talking about? You're losing me. No one's saying we own it.
with the unclearness, in my mind, may be wrong, that the ownership is not present or represented, and I'm not sure that our going into this, initiating a process, is going to help anything there.
It is, ma'am, because the owner, you do not need an owner, ma'am. Again, you're talking to a highly educated guy way up here, not here. No disrespect to you. Matter of fact, ma'am, if you live in a district, you can own it, and I can make an application that it be. I don't have to say I'm owning it, but I can say I'm going to take your historical building and make it and request it.
I understand.
I don't have to need you to be there.
I
talk to a giant in the fields, ma'am.
I understand, and it's up to the commission to decide whether they want to do that without an owner's permission.
We have a proposal.
Freedom Center Incorporated is the owner, ma'am. How are you missing here?
We understand you want to move forward.
That's
we
right.
have a proposal to discuss. We eventually have to get this issue worked out. You guys have to determine the ownership. We've got to have that.
Yeah, no, sir. That's not, you can't show me in any kind of paperwork where it says that, sir. Again, you can't. I tell you, if you show me in any kind of paperwork, I'll leave this podium. But if you do, then I want all y'all to vote yay right today. You can't show me that, sir. Again, before coming to Ms. Fuller, I know how to do my work. Everything that I do, sir, is always on time, not sometime. Because, like I say, I have to be right when I do something.
We can initiate the process.
Right. Thank you.
But we can't recommend it to the city council until.
I'm understanding that, sir. I'm with you. But I'd like for it to be initiated, and then I guarantee you my right. If
you'll hold on.
Please don't interrupt every time. I understand you're frustrated, but we're not going to get anywhere if we don't at least let the chair finish his sentence.
We have
what the proposal is.
We have something we think that for now you'll be happy with, but you're going to have to work this issue out.
Oh, good. I got you.
So,
With that, I move that we initiate the proposal to designate the Freedom Center as a historic landmark, directing staff to prepare a report addressing the designation criteria and other consideration, and adopt the resolution provided as part of the staff report.
Which will take about 90 days. You've got 90 days. They'll come back here to either recommend or not. You've got 90 days to determine and show the ownership.
Okay, now let me. You're moving fast, me. Now, can you read that by me again, now?
The motion?
Sure. This is a two-part process. What I'm moving for today is that we initiate the proposal to designate the Freedom Center as a historic landmark, HL overlay, directing staff to prepare a report addressing the designation criteria and other considerations, and to adopt the resolution provided as part of the staff report.
Okay, good. Now, I get a copy of that. That's an Open Records Act. I can get a copy of that, right? So, okay, now, let me say this here. I appreciate y'all. Like I said, ma'am, everybody knows Michael Washington. I'm not up here just to be arguing, be frivolous with y'all. That's not me. But when you put a notice out and you tell someone to come here, ma'am, you just can't say, oh, Johnny, take a piece of paper now, we're somebody. Now, y'all know that's not right. You know that's not right. And you told me to show up, I showed up with my group. But that's nothing.
We understand.
We
understand that. So we need to move on. So we're starting the process. It'll take about 90 days.
We need a second and a vote.
Well, I'm just telling them what we're doing, and then at that point it'll come back to us, and then we'll vote on the resolution to recommend to City Council. At that point, we're going to have this resolved. So 90 days. Okay. So it's been moved by Ann Zachris.
Second.
And it's been seconded by Heather Clemmer. All in favor?
Aye. I agree with that, and I'll have mine to you in 10 days.
You have been, the process has started to recommend this.
Oh, man, y'all give me a heart attack. I ain't but 61, my goodness.
I understand. 90 days.
All right, now I guess the paper I
Thank you.
gave one, somebody some paper.
Oh, the paperwork? Yeah, I think, do I have? The Secretary of State. The designation. It looks like this. Here's one piece. It's down there somewhere.
Yes, But like I say, this guy can't be too serious. Here it is. He going not to want to come, and we showing up. This man, no, it's mine too. You keep that. Oh, you got it. It's public notice. Went in the newspapers.
I hope we don't have to go through this again. There we go.
That's what they did. They did.
One was the Freedom Center, the other one was something else, so,
Yeah, just a corporation. Certificate of corporation.
yeah.
Yeah, I think
That's it.
if not, I'll just charge y'all hamburger pizza.
Okay, thank you. Thanks for coming. Appreciate it. All right, is that it?
Well, I'm always downtown. I can just come out and get it. Yeah, I'm always, you know me, I'm always down. Yeah, I'll be down to see you. Now, I don't want to see y'all for long.
Thanks for coming.
Thank y'all, man. Now, when that report be done, I need to get a copy of the report. So when would that be ready?
So the commission is required to take the next step and have the staff report to prepare the recommendation within 90 days. So
I'm
think
talking about
when we...
your minutes. I want your minutes.
Oh, minutes from this. Our minutes don't say much more than motion made, motion seconded, vote. But we, Paula, when minutes have to be out by the end of the 4 business days. So they will be up online via the city's website within 4 business days. They'll be posted. Yep. And the meeting is videoed.
Yeah.
And that will also be available online.
Where do I find that at? I want, yeah, because
It's buried
Channel 20?
pretty well within it's Channel 20. Oh, no, we're not Channel 20. It's just the video recordings.
okay.
Okay.
Are
we done?
I'll kind of run through real quick everything here as they're getting information distributed. Lots of administrative approvals. Happy to answer questions about that. A couple of withdrawals with just applications that people decided either not to move forward with or didn't provide their documentation, and nothing to report under any of the other committees through G.
Okay. Are we done? Yeah, I'm waiting for... Thanks for coming. Appreciate it.
Y'all have a good day. Thank y'all.
Anything from the municipal councilor? Okay. Next meeting date. The next regular scheduled meeting for the Historic Preservation Commission is March 7th, 2018 at 2 p.m. Municipal Building. New applications for this meeting were received February 6th. New information continued from today's meeting to the upcoming meeting must be submitted to staff by 4 p.m. Tuesday, February 13th. The next regular scheduled workshop for the Historic Preservation Commission is Wednesday, March 14th from 11:30 a.m. to 1:30 p.m. at 420 West Main, Suite 900. Any items from commissioners? Any citizens?
Are there any updates to the Airbnb ordinance?
No, I have not heard anything additional. We're supposed to get notified if there's any meetings that have been scheduled, but I haven't heard anything at this point.
Suzanne and I attended a meeting a couple of weeks ago of many of the HP areas that were represented and voicing their opinions about this city ordinance process. And they weren't very pleased with it.
Yeah, imagine.
Just to let you.
Well, I guess the next step is for everybody to is there more input, or
It will, at the very least, have to go to Planning Commission and then City Council for the adoption process, the way they take any proposed ordinance, and there may be additional meetings prior to it going to Planning Commission, like a study session or their Urban Development Committee. So we will report that in our agendas, and I think the residents that attended that meeting are supposed to be on kind of an email list to be informed. So we'll try to keep everyone up to date as those meetings are scheduled.
kind of let us know, too, just informally?
Suzanne, there was no updates on the plat restrictions that we were discussing for Heritage Hills?
Another Suzanne? Something about that name.
Suzette Hatfield?
Suzette?
Yes, Suzette.
Yeah, Suzette, I think she's looking at that. I don't know. I haven't heard anything from her about that. Have you, Ann? I have not.
Anything
Thank
else
you.
from commissioners? Okay. Any more citizens to be heard? No more. Good. Okay, with that, we are adjourned. Thank you.